Irvin 2 behind the glass.
Good morning. Not that late because, I don't have to write anything or do anything like that. So I watch the game, watch a little press conferences, hear Vrabel say some interesting things, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go to bed.
There you go. I got to bed around 2:30. I did have to write some things. 98.5thesportshub.com if you want to check them out. I'll have a few more coming today if you want to read those. So,
Sorry to interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
Next roster projection that I can get from Barth?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. Okay, I'm interested in that.
Assuming I can get it written today.
Especially the wide receiver position.
Number 2 on the to-do list today. Number 1 is actually something we'll talk about coming up in a little bit. So, interested, I know people knock the preseason. Matt McCarthy's tweeting at me last night that I need help for enjoying watching these games, whatever. He watched baseball during its worst period when it was 4-hour games of just 1-0. Yeah, as far as preseason games go, and look, obviously the regular season is more interesting. Obviously, we'd all like to see the starters. As far as preseasons go, you got a pretty good one last night. In terms of a good preseason game means you have things to talk about after. It's interesting. The impact of the roster, like you mentioned. Maybe some different players that you didn't know about as much standing out you get to talk about. In terms of that, pretty good preseason game last night. You also got, best I could tell, admittedly I was playing catch-up. What did happen?
My laptop wanted to chime in, just FYI.
Oh, that happened to me I'm usually really good about it. Got me in a Vrabel press conference earlier this year, so I can't say anything.
Did he get mad at you? Who was?
No, I got it real quick. I got a very quick look from him.
Who was the real dink college football earlier this? I forget.
I don't know the reporter. Was it Kiffin? Was it Kiffin's press conference?
I don't think it was Kiffin. I want to say maybe the Auburn guy. It was somebody who was a real dink and basically tried to treat a reporter like he was a player. No. I'm a professional. I'm an adult. I can actually do whatever I want. If I make myself look bad, you can't do anything about it.
John Summerall, Florida head coach.
Yes.
So, no, it was not nearly that bad. I caught it really quickly. But as I was playing, as the Patriots were playing this game last night, which, again, as preseason games go, thought you got a good one. There was also a Red Sox game at Fenway. And I'm kind of seeing the tweets on my timeline as we're going through the Patriots games. I'm tracking Baron Morton's punts, and it's it's not going well.
Did you do hang time for his punts?
I did. I have to. Best. Bob Sosi gave me the shout out on the broadcast. I appreciate that, Bob. I do have to find the film. He did say I was watching the film. I don't have the film. So if anybody has Baron Morton punting film, besides last night, obviously, please send it along.
Just doing that to Raz Zolak.
Hang time. Even the head coach was mocking Morton post-game when he's like, all the quarterbacks do that little thing where they punt it near the goal line, see how close they can get. And you were doing hang time.
I was.
How was it, by the way? What was the number?
First one was good. First one I had at 4.8.
That was the touchback, though.
The touchback, yeah. And then that looked like a legit punt. I was like, oh, we might have something here. The next couple were more line drives, not as great.
He wasn't told he was doing it.
For a guy that had it come in cold, that hadn't punted a game since high school,
he didn't have any shanks or mishits or anything.
Could have gone a lot worse.
Yes.
Certainly. Do you think it's easier to come in cold and punt like that, kick a field goal, or long snap?
Well, easier or harder to
Easier is the punt.
Yeah,
the punt
that's
would
probably
be
the easiest one. If I had to
three.
rank those, punt, field goal, long snap.
Because you have the whole field to work with, as long as you don't punt it, backwards or straight up or into the stands.
Which has been done.
He did admit he had to ask how deep he was. How deep do I go? And he asked Andy Borregales, which I thought was weird.
No, I thought he said he asked Ashby.
Oh, okay.
He might have said
maybe
Ash,
the transcript was wrong. But isn't that kind of universal? From high school to college? Isn't it basically 15 yards? I don't
know if high school long snappers can get it back 15 yards.
You come in a little closer. Come on, a little closer.
College, it's probably universal, but he said he didn't punt in college. But no, he, again, could have gone worse. Whatever he was doing on the first one worked, though, which is funny that he changed it, but you don't want one blocked right in your face.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, as I'm charting that, I'm seeing all these tweets about the Red Sox. I'm like, it doesn't look like it's going well. I'm seeing Milliken and Carabas and whatever, and I actually had thought they lost. I saw the eighth inning. There goes that or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then I'm coming out of the press conference. I'm looking at my phone. What the heck? They won? And pretty, for a team that's had a lot of how the hell did they win that games, that one's probably up there on the list this year.
Think? You think a guy who went 0 for 5, struck out 4 times, and ends up being the walk-off hero is a rarity. And we also forget that before the Fenway greens were like the cool winning uniform, the yellows were pretty.
The yellows had some magic
good too. Yes, a little magic there.
The yellows had some magic.
They go with the reds today and just making it the whole palette weekend.
I guess so. Yeah, they don't really wear the regular ones on the weekend anymore. But she had that last night, and you know what's cool about today, Andy? We're kind of coming out of, and it wasn't as bad this year with the World Cup. We're coming out of this like sports desert where there's just nothing going on. We have like a real bona fide big Boston sports day today between the Patriots, and we are a week from roster cuts. Roster cuts are a week from today. They're on a Sunday this year instead of Tuesday. Thank you very much for that, Roger Goodell. I'll be inside all weekend next weekend. Not to complain, love my job. Poor Barth, he has to write about football. Yeah, I know. I'd admittedly rather it be on a Tuesday than a Sunday. But we got roster cuts coming a week from today. The Patriots have some legit questions, as Mike Vrabel pointed out last night. And the Red Sox are not as hot as they were, but I think when they had that little, I don't know what you want to call it, a speed bump. Is that fair?
I don't. At this point, it looks like just an aberrational lull.
A lull is a good word. They had that lull. They lost 5 in a row, and I think a lot of people were like, oh, all right, whatever. That was a fun summer. It's over.
Midnight has been struck on the Cinderella story.
They're now 6-3 in their last 10 since that losing streak.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe back a little bit. So
33-11, I think, is the number everybody's throwing around in their last 44, which is obviously a very good mark.
Right. So if you kind of wrote them off again, here we go. They're back at it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So we are going to be this morning, myself, Alex Barth, Andy Hart, Ryan Garvin, your post-game show.
I love it.
You want to react to the Patriots last night. You want to react to the Red Sox last night. We actually have a ton to get to today. I don't know the last time I said that on a Sunday. It's been a minute. Certainly since, I don't know, Celtics and Bruins.
Yeah.
So
I'm ready, and I'm glad you started with the entertainment value, because I thought I was weird. This whole week, I think, has been a good week.
Yep.
The joint practices with the Eagles and then the preseason game. I've been strangely optimistic, I feel like, this week, which is a feeling I'm not totally used to, not necessarily my nature. And even last night, I was watching that game, I was like, the starters aren't playing. We knew that coming in. No starters, no Drake May, no A.J. Brown. And yet I'm like, why am I finding myself kind of entertained in this football game? It was a very strange feeling, but I'm glad you agreed. Maybe we're just two football hardo dorks.
No, I think, again, as far as preseason games go, that was more or less what you're looking for last night. You got to see some rookies in the spotlight, which is what you want. You got to see some position battles play out, which is what you want. It's always good to see something weird in a preseason game.
Absolutely.
That's always a nice little takeaway. How much would Bill, like that was classic Bill last night with the rookie quarterback punting, all that.
I thought of Matt Gutierrez. Wasn't he the one that covered kicks for a couple preseason games back in the day? I think it was
Did
Gutierrez.
he do that? I do remember them
There was a backup QB that covered kicks.
So I remember them trying to turn Danny Etling into a personal protector on the punt team.
Yep.
But I think there's another one as well. We didn't quite get the Danny Etling moment. Tommy DeVito almost had it.
Was very close. Kind of snuck up on everybody there. Absolutely kind of snuck up on everybody there with that scramble.
Did you see Josh Dobbs actually had one of those yesterday?
No.
Josh Dobbs had like a 50-yard touchdown run.
Nice.
Like on a read option against the Commanders, whose quarterback's coach is Danny Etling.
Oh.
So pulled the Danny Etling in front of Danny Etling.
Danny Etling is a quarterback. Wow, am I old.
Even Joe Milton was slinging it last night, so that was fun.
And you even had the McCourties with, and I don't know if you've seen the TV copy yet, the McCourties, who I really like.
They're great.
Booth. Got a little brotherly personal, I thought. They started kind of joking about Super Bowls.
Okay.
And, the famous Jason McCourty play against Cooks and Goff and the Rams. And Jason said something like to Devin, yeah, you were in a bunch of Super Bowls, but how many plays did you make that anyone remembers?
Wow.
And Devin was like, fair enough, or something. Like
I'm trying to think of it now.
I thought it was really mean.
I can think of some playoff plays that Devin McCourty made. He had some great plays in that 2014 win over the Ravens. Super Bowls? I don't know.
Yeah, it was like an awkward brotherly moment that took place in front of 1 million people on TV.
I will tell you this, though, Andy. You bring up Jason McCourty. There's a few players from the Super Bowl runs, that I think are underappreciated. Like I will always pound the table for Adrian Waddle. Adrian Waddle was a sneaky, valuable player, a guy that was a true swing tackle.
Yep.
Provided value. Another one. Anytime I talk about team building in the cornerback position, 2018 Jason McCourty. The affinity I have for him as that third corner that allowed them to rotate Steph Gilmore, rotate J.C. Jackson, keep those guys fresh, an important layer of depth. You know what this current Patriots team could use? Adrian Waddle and a Jason McCourty.
Yes.
Guys like that.
Very specifically, both of those positions would use that. Absolutely.
There are some questions about the depth on this team. And it's not just me. I was on Felger and Maz on Thursday, and as they tend to do with my training camp interviews, Maz asked me at the end, give me somebody who sucked. They don't like how positive I am, even when I don't think I'm being super positive. So I mentioned the cornerback depth, and I mentioned the offensive line depth.
No, we want a starter.
That's right. I feel vindicated. Because I'm not the only...
Someone who sucks, Barth. A starter.
I was going to ask you to pull the audio, Garvin, but you basically just nailed it. Like, that was it. You can go check it out. It's on the Sports Hub YouTube page. But I feel vindicated in that this is a real thing we're going to have to talk about with this team, the depth. And this isn't just a radio guy spewing nonsense. Well, what do you know? You're not part of the team. Somebody who, not just part of the team, a very influential, very important member of the team.
No.
Thanks, Maz. Somebody who it matters what they think also thinks the might be an issue. We'll tell you who that is next, plus your call, 617-779-0985. Alex Barth, Andy Hart, off and running on the Sports Hub.
That's not a starter. Try again.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
It's Alex Barth and Andy Hart. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. Andy, I don't mind starters playing less in preseason games. This isn't 2009 where Tom Brady and Randy Moss carved up the Rams for 3 quarters. The league's just different. I don't think you need to see that anymore. I know people want to see the starters. I know people want, we haven't had football in so many months. I don't need to watch Drake May in August. I really don't. I just don't. I think 1 or 2 series is probably helpful to get everybody on the same board, on the same page. I don't think you want to go the whole summer without playing them, but for whatever reason, I'm totally okay with the team erring on the side of caution in terms of, especially after a joint practice, a team not playing its starters much in the preseason.
Yeah, I think in terms of competitive action, I think it's become quite clear that joint practices are more valuable than preseason action in the eyes of many, if not all, coaches. So that's part of it. The good reps you get, the scripted reps, the unscripted reps, everything you can do in a joint practice action. I did think it was interesting listening to David Andrews actually here on the pregame show, 98.5, talking about he thinks the biggest need in terms of preseason action isn't the actual on the field, it's the getting ready to be on the field. Literally your day of game process, procedures, like he was saying, what you eat, when you get taped, when you warm up, how you warm up, like whatever all of that is for each individual.
The logistics of all of it.
Yes. And do I think that can probably be valuable? Absolutely. But is it worth putting Drake May on the field Patriots famously had that preseason game where they lost Andre Tippett, Garen Veras, and the season went down the crapper in the preseason.
Didn't you lose Julian Edelman in a preseason game?
Was that
I
thought it was
so.
Against
Houston or the
Detroit?
Detroit, yes. So yeah, I don't need that. But whatever, and I know Bill used to be big on that. I think Bill was big on not telling players they weren't playing until they found out they weren't playing. I think for the reason Andrews is talking about. You prepare right up until 7 o'clock like you're playing, and then, oh, by the way, you're not playing. But you did everything mentally and physically to get ready for a game to prepare yourself for the regular season.
Edelman did tear his ACL, by the way, in the team's 3rd preseason game in 2017.
That hurts.
So,
okay, Andre Tippett, Julian Edelman, some all-time greats went down in the preseason.
You had him out there in 2017 in the 3rd game. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I think
Bill Belichick.
Logistics it used to be different, admittedly.
Football players get ready to play football. I'm playing football. I don't know if you heard, Ryan Garvin.
Well, remember he used to do the thing where he would pull the starters mid-drive?
Yep.
So the backups had to get used to coming in, then he'd put the starters back in.
Yep. Or he put him back in the 3rd quarter because he thought they had to go through the process.
Right, take the turn at halftime.
Blah, 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 and all that. And in that era, maybe that was the right thing to do, and certainly his results are beyond criticism for the bulk of his tenure with the Patriots, but it's a different time. It's a modern time. Load management is a thing in all sports, not just in basketball. And I think Mike Vrabel is a modern coach who's dealing in a modern way with this issue.
So again, whatever the reason for holding him out, I get it. You want to see Drake May. We all want to see Drake May. It's not worth seeing him throw 2 passes in August it's just not worth it.
Nope.
But we kind of got a reason why the starters aren't playing. And it is, they don't want to tax him too much, but it isn't. Garvin, can we hear that cut again that we just came back with just to remind everybody?
Mike, in the big picture, how important is it to you for Drake and some of the starters to play in the final preseason game, the field a game, or is the joint practices that you've experienced lessen the need for that?
I don't think we have a very deep team, Mike, so I think we have to make sure that we're preparing our football team and that we're doing everything that we can to keep our best players available. And if that means playing Thursday as part of preparation, then that's what we'll do. Have not made that decision yet, but I would say that that's something that I'm confident in with where we're set up currently.
So the starters aren't playing. At least part of the reason is they can't afford to lose any of these guys. Because as Mike Vrabel says there, they're not a very deep team. I agree with him. I think it's an accurate assessment of where they're at, especially certain positions. And when you look at, for instance, the losses they've had on the offensive line, the starting offensive line has been encouraging this summer. But unfortunately, you're not going to get all 5 guys for all 17 games. It's just not the way the NFL works. The guys who had looked good on that unit were Ben Brown, who's now out at least through the preseason, and Marcus Bryant, who got hurt last night. Andy, did any of for the line that was the bulk of the night? By the way, some of those guys, usually you play one line, one half, another line, the other half. Some of those guys played like well into the fourth quarter. I think a few played wire to wire.
Yep.
That bulk, the line they had for the bulk of the night. So that's Caleb Lomu at left tackle, Mekhi Butler at left guard, Andrew Rizzi at center, James Hudson at right guard, Demetrius Crown over at right tackle again. This is after Marcus Bryant went out. Any of those guys look NFL ready to you right now?
No, they did not. I mean, I think Lomu actually looked a little bit better, and I think probably some of that is that he was at left tackle, which is his more comfortable primary position coming out of college. But no, I think if anything, Mike Vrabel's management of the starters was validated that you've played 2 preseason games and you're arguably your 2 most valuable backup offensive linemen got hurt. If those are starters, what are we talking about right now? Like if the same exact scenario plays out, but you lose Elijah Vera Tucker
and Morgan Moses,
they're
in trouble.
Exactly. And then we're talking about how does that affect Drake May and A.J. Brown, and you've loaded up these weapons, and you have – because you could argue that the only position on this team that is deep is wide receiver.
So I actually have – you mentioned earlier, all the writing stuff. I have 5 positions really that I see as like glaring depth. And I know. What do you want them to have starters all over the roster? Like there's going to be a drop-off when you go to backups. It's a little more extreme at some position. It's a steeper drop-off than you'd want. Offensive line is obviously the big one. Now, Greg Van Roten didn't play last night. You hope, as a veteran that started over 100 games in this league, he'll be a steadying presence.
Yes.
He's also 36 years old, so we'll see. But he will help a bit on the interior. We don't know what Ben Brown's status is. If they get Ben Brown back and Van Roten steps in and Marcus Bryant's injury isn't significant, all right, that you're not in a horrible spot. That's 3 Fs, and we're not even through the preseason yet.
So I feel better about the line this year, though, than last year. Like, even with those unknowns of 2 injuries in 2 preseason games, I feel better about... Last year, you were adding 4 new starters.
That's fair.
And we've seen positive action from Morgan Moses. Even though we still have doubts about can he hold up his age. Will Campbell. If you take the best of Will Campbell a year ago, I like that. Jared Wilson.
And he's looked like that, by the way, this summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a story that's being undertold, underplayed,
you know what?
Focused on.
There's a saying about linemen, and it's true. The lineman's doing well when nobody's talking about him.
Absolutely.
I said last year, people ask me, what's a good rookie year for Will Campbell? We don't say his name. And it's been that kind of camp. Outside of when you get asked, how's Will Campbell doing?
Right.
Really have not brought him up, which is good.
I was of the belief, now Lomu, I don't know that I want to see him play on an every down basis, but theoretically, you're bringing back Campbell and Moses, and you have a first-round left tackle. So you kind of have 3 for 2, theoretically. A lot of teams that draft left tackles have to play the left tackle right away. See Patriots a year ago, right? A lot of those you have the luxury of that guy being swing tackle, whatever. And then on the interior, you bring in Elijah Vera Tucker to stabilize that guard spot, theoretically, and you moved Wilson to the spot that everybody tells me is his spot.
It's his natural position.
Natural center. And he played center in college. And I listened to David Andrews talk about it. So I still feel, even with these 2 injuries, better about the offensive line than I did a year ago.
So I think the starting offensive line is going to be improved. I think it's going to be noticeably improved. It's just a matter of guys staying healthy.
And they won't. You're right. You said that earlier.
It falls apart kind of quickly. But the starting line, they did a great job. You look at where they were 2 years ago and where they were now, and it was always going to take more than a year because they were starting from a low point. Mm-hmm. Ton of credit. They really not just rebuilt this thing in the short term, but assuming Lomu kind of develops and becomes the player we think he's going to be, and we'll see, like Michael Onwenu contract year probably /year, but I trust them to find a starting guard, right?
Yes.
They're set for the short term and I think the long term. But offensive line is one. We have questions about the depth. I just wrote these down like offense and defense. This is in no particular order. Or you know what? Let me try to put these in order. Number 2, linebacker.
I completely agree. And I am a very superficial, especially when I'm watching a game from home.
Yeah.
The notes I take, like, I'm going to do a radio with Barth tomorrow. I'm going to write some things down. Took only 2 words for me to write down. Muma stinks.
And it's crazy because he had legitimately like a great start to camp. It was good in the spring, came out at the start of the summer, was all over the field, was making plays. I really liked him in the draft a few years ago. I'm like, hell yeah, they unlocked something in him. This is great. Did not have a good game against the Colts.
He did not.
Got banged up. So maybe he's working through something, but struggled in the joint practices. And then last night was rough. He had 2 missed tackles. There's another one where, like, missed tackles in terms of physically couldn't bring the guy down. There was another one that's effectively a miss. He takes a bad angle to the ball.
Yes.
It doesn't get in position to make the tackle. Also gets hurt. So I thought he was on the roster. I had him, again, I'm working on my next roster projection, and I might tweak it here or there. I right now have him as the 53rd player. So last guy on.
I don't do a roster projection, but I don't really want him on my football team.
So
if he plays, we lose.
I'll get to that in a
That's
second.
my theory.
You have KJ Britt, who I thought had turned a corner. He kind of struggled last night. Khalil Jacobs, the UDFA, who is probably mostly a special teams player to begin with. He got hurt last night. They're now thin there. They met with, and I think it's notable, they met with Daquan Jones and Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson is the one I meant to bring up.
Yep.
Linebacker last week. So as it stands right now, I think Chad Muma makes the team if he's healthy. If they bring in Shaq Thompson, bye-bye Chad Muma.
Yeah, and Robert Spillane is one thing. I think he's a good player. Christian Ellis, I'm not sure is a full playing time NFL player.
Probably better as your third linebacker than second, but he did have a very good year last year.
He did. I just wonder if full season, diminishing returns, whatever. He's better as the first guy off the bench, sub situation, pick your spots with him. So, yeah, I think linebacker is I think they need to bring somebody in. And I think Mark Daniels tweeted that, like, might be looking for linebackers, find somebody.
Yeah.
We can get into this. I also wonder if that played into Vrabel's comments as we come down the wire here towards the opportunity to maybe make a trade, and everybody's been fixating on wide receivers and draft picks. I wonder if they're fixating, forget it, we're not getting the draft pick we want. Can we do a player-for-player?
A player-for-player trade. I've said this all along. I would do that. I would prioritize that, given what you realistically probably would get for a pick. A little Jacoby Brissett for Philip Dorsett kind of deal.
Absolutely.
But I have linebacker on the list. I said I was going in order. Where do I want to go next? Edge is a weird one because I think their starters are also rough.
You can't have depth if you don't have starters.
Right. And that's the one position where I feel that way.
Like my guy Ponder is being treated like a starter.
And he's a rotational player.
He absolutely, in my opinion, should be playing in the preseason, except you have no depth and he might be the best you have. So
you know
what I mean? If you're keeping the top 2 guys at every position safe, he's one of those, but he shouldn't be. He should be getting action in the preseason to get better.
And, Gabe Akis is the guy you look to turn the corner. He had an up and down night last night. We can get to that in a little bit. But you talk about a player-for-player trade with Kayshon Boutte. I've been saying this since June. Can they go get Kayvon Thibodeau from New York?
Ooh, I would love that.
And they need a receiver over there. That's another position I had corner on here. Now, if there's one group where I thought the depth showed well last night, it was corner. Kindle Vildor specifically had a good game. He had a rough start to camp. He's maybe turned a corner.
He was the opposite of Muma in my notebook. It was Vildor. Awesome.
This goes back, though, to the Jason McCourty thing. If you need one, you're going to have a drop-off from Christian Gonzalez or Carlton Davis to the next guy. Those two are just really good. You're not going to have that level of backup. But does the drop-off need to be as steep as it is right now, is my question.
And Charles Woods has been hurt and
he's
struggled.
had a rough camp.
Right.
Yeah, so I think he's the third guy right now. That's why I didn't play last night, because they're protecting him.
I don't think he's that good right now.
I don't think him, Vildor, and Karan Prunty you can kind of put in a one. They've all been about the same. Maybe Woods, just on experience in the system, has a little bit of a lead, but I think they're kind of similar. The one other position I put definitively on my list was tight end. And that's because Eli Raridon didn't play last night.
Yeah, what do you got on that? Individual, is that what he said? Vrabel said those?
Yeah, they all had individual situations. Now, if it is an injury, I don't think it would be something serious just because we didn't see anything in practice. Byard...
hard fall?
No hard fall. Byard makes sense. He's a veteran. You're going to sit him.
Yep.
Woodson, they are kind of thin at safety, too. Now, thin at safety is a relative thing. They have 5 guys who can play, which is what you need. You don't need huge numbers. John Saunders had another good game last night, but I understand wanting to protect Craig Woodson. Travion Henderson was another new addition to the not dressed last night. Running back obviously is a position you're going to protect. So are they really... Tanner Arkin has kind of fallen off after a strong start to camp. So are they protecting Eli Raritan? Did he maybe get banged up? Again, I can't... If it is the latter, I can't imagine it would be something serious, but either he's banged up, which is a concern because he's clearly their second tight end, or he sat because they're protecting him because they're worried about their depth. So either way, it signals that they maybe have some depth issues at tight end.
Any chance there's more to that for at least one of those? I actually took that answer of individual. Yeah. One of them might not be injury and or football related. And this, I know nothing. I just want to...
Meaning what?
Did somebody show up late?
A discipline.
Sending a message to a rookie or a player that showed up late or didn't do something. And if you lump them all together, it kind of protects that one guy from the public side of things. But that was just the way I took that. I thought there was maybe a way of protecting a guy from something that wasn't football.
I wonder if it was the other way around, and maybe that's an indication of Raritan. Maybe it was, again, Henderson, Byard. I have the transcript here. He actually wasn't asked about Woodson in that question, but we'll throw him in there. Those all make sense as, hey, we're not even going to bother. We're not going to risk you, right?
Right.
If Raritan's injured, you just throw him in there with that, and it sounds like you're just resting guys.
Could be. Because if you had made me pick maybe a handful of guys that I was interested in watching yesterday, Raritan would have been on the list.
He's been their best rookie.
Right.
In camp. So
and looked good against the Colts and showed some fluidity and athleticism and all of those things, and then to not have him out there was disappointing.
I had one other position on here on my list of depth spots Vrabel might be worried about, but I don't think it counts because it's a position that nobody actually has good depth. They might think they do, they don't. I saw ESPN, I think it was, put out a list of the best quarterback rooms and ranked the Patriots 11th because other teams have better backups. I have quarterback on here. If you lose Drake May,
you're porked.
Right. And to have the caliber of player as a backup that would prevent a Drake May injury from ending your season is just not worth the resources. You're not going to be able to build the right kind of team. So and Tommy DeVito was good last night. Credit to him. I thought Morton was good too. Lack of quarterback depth doesn't mean anything to me, right? Yeah, okay, you might have a 6th-round pick who turns into the greatest of all time. Nobody knew that until it happened. So I have it on the list, but not really.
I also am a big believer that if you have a truly elite franchise quarterback, you don't feel good about your backup because there's such a significant drop-off.
Right.
Whereas if you have a mediocre 15th best quarterback in the league, you probably feel like it's not a huge drop-off. That says more about your starter than it does your backup.
Congratulations. You have good quarterback. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none, is basically what we're saying.
And the Patriots have one who's awesome, and then the rest.
Congratulations on your quarterback depth, Atlanta Falcons. Right. We are way past it. We got to take a break. Then write your calls. You want to weigh in on Patriots. Red Sox on the table as well. 617-779-0985. It's Alex Barth and Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Mooma stinks. Phil Doyle.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
your phones. Paulie in the truck. Paulie, what do you got for me?
Hey, listen, all that football brain power in that room with the advent of the 2026 NFL season approaching quickly, there is not any room, let me say, that in that room for a third wheel. Okay, there's more than enough. There's no way you could fit a third brain in that room.
Paulie.
I'm telling you, well, you guys are awesome. That's who he is. Okay. Few things. I think Vrabel's managing the situation very well in terms of keeping the status out. You got the joint practices that are filling that void for the need for live action. They're not very deep. So I think he's doing the proper thing in managing it the way he is. Reardon, the Notre Dame kid, absolutely they're protecting him. He had some injury issues when he was at Notre Dame. They need him. So that's what they're doing with him. To a couple of things. We got 3 quarterbacks. We got 3. I love this kid, Morton. He's ahead of Tommy DeVito when DeVito first came out of Rutgers. He's way ahead of the curve. He knows he's got a real good hold of the offense and gets rid of the ball quickly with great confidence. That strike at the end of the game was beautiful. He hits some quick over the middle stuff.
Yep.
Guy slants over the middle. He's good. I like him. You got to keep him around. He may get hurt. I'd have no problem handing it to DeVito or Morton, as young as Morton is. Now,
all right, Paulie, thank you. What did you think of Baron Morton last night?
I liked him a lot. And I have heard my guy Paul Perillo, who I trust after 2 decades alongside him, best third quarterback he can remember coming through New England. And I don't think he's wrong. I'm not a huge Tommy DeVito guy. I think there's a lot of inconsistency to his game. Has some athleticism, has some experience, also has stretches where I think he makes horrible throws. And I'm a simple guy for backup quarterbacks. I thought that first throw, the comeback to Kyle Williams on the left side, that was really late, probably should have been picked. You have to make those. It was open. You were just late. As a veteran backup, why are you late on that? To me, that's the throw I have a veteran backup to make. Timely, don't do too much, just take what's there. I don't know. I'm not totally opposed to Paulie's idea that Morton might be the better quarterback that's a backup. Moving forward. I'm not saying right now, but moving forward.
I think he needs a little more time. He had a rough week before the game, Morton did. I was a good bounce back for him. He had a really good start to the summer. It kind of leveled off. So good to see that from him last night. I still think DeVito is ahead of him, but Morton's somebody I think can hang around the league. Whether he's the backup here or he goes elsewhere, he should be in the league, for 10-something years as a backup. Because what's fascinating about him is he gets a starting job at Texas Tech, hurts his shoulder. He had the Jimmy Garoppolo, the sprained AC joint. Unlike Jimmy Garoppolo, he played through it because he's, tough. Played through it for 2 years before he finally got surgery because it wasn't healing. Comes back last year, breaks it. It was gets a hairline fracture in his right leg, his push leg. Plays through that and leads Texas Tech to the college football playoff. So the big knock on Morton coming out was, he doesn't throw the ball very hard. He can't throw the ball very far. Okay. He's at a bum shoulder and a broken leg for all but 3 of the games we've watched him.
Right.
He's an unknown. He might suck, but there's part of me that's what if once he's healthy, something clicks? Because the games you see him healthy, he does look better. So he's an interesting experiment. I'm glad they took him instead of just some boring vanilla whatever backup, right? And yeah, I've had fun watching him, I think. And then the punting thing was a good time, too. But I like where they're going with him. Let's go to Randy in Providence. Randy.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey.
I think it would have been fun to watch the starters play, watch the offense get in a rhythm, A.J. Brown kind of dunk on his old teammates, et cetera. But I think also, I wonder if you guys think there's benefit to some of these young players. They're holding the starters all out, it seems, with no exceptions, right? But I almost feel like Jared Wilson specifically, he's making his first snaps, making his first line adjustments in Seattle with that Seattle defensive line on top of him. He hasn't done any real NFL games at center. And then Elijah Ponder is the other guy that I think about. You mentioned him while I was on hold there, but I felt like all last night I saw them taking advantage of the inexperienced edges in Swinson and obviously Akis with, the quick slant throws, quick screen plays, stuff like that, where And they were talking about it during the telecast. It's like something where, basically only reps helps, and you kind of get a feel for these things. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, Elijah Ponder, he played like 200 and something snaps last year, I think it was, but he still needs those reps, I would feel like. And I get you want to, you don't want to risk the starters, but do you guys think, I think ultimately it becomes a thing, like, if it works, then it's a great idea. If it doesn't, then it's not. But, like, how do you guys feel about kind of like the benefit to some of these specific younger players who are making position changes or could specifically benefit from the experience and the sweeping kind of, if you're a starter, you're not playing thing that's going on now?
Thanks for the call, Randy. I mean, that's the trade-off. But so those are good examples, right? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can play some starters, not all of them. Now, some of them are relative to others, right? You're not going to play the receivers with Tommy DeVito. If you're going to play A.J. Brown, you're going to play Drake May, that sort of thing. Jared Wilson might be in that bucket. You could argue with Elijah Vera Tucker or with Drake May, two guys that don't need that time. But sure, getting in an NFL game, making those checks with the live rush across from all of that. Elijah Ponder's another good one, still a developmental player. But when we just went through and listed the positions where they're the thinnest, I forget if they're the first two or two of the first three positions I said.
Right.
Offensive line and edge. And that's the flip side of it, is if you lose one of those guys, that's a massive, massive blow. So that's the balancing act they have to figure out.
And especially at center right now, like Ben Brown, whatever his health is going to be or whenever he's back, you don't have a lot to go with. Also, Jared Wilson played last year. He played guard, but he played last year. So he has some live bullets, quote unquote, under his belt from a year ago. And I would also argue playing Gillette Stadium against the Eagles backups on a Saturday night is nothing like what he will be facing in Seattle on a Wednesday night when they put the banner up, that stadium, that crowd, that defense. So, I mean, he got the reps during practice.
Right. What you're getting out of the joint practice is about the same as that.
And there's no crowd and I know noise and everything, but like nothing's going to prepare him for that. It's still going to be a unique experience where he's either going to prove he's a good young center who, probably harkens back to some SEC time and some play when he goes into that environment and what he's feeling. But he's still going to have to prove himself, and nothing he could have done last night would have prepared him for that, in my opinion.
One more call here. Carl in Boston. Carl.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call. So I had a couple of questions, and I know that since I'm calling the Patriots, cognizant to you that you guys will be able to address them both. My first question, I think you've already answered, actually, based on the conversations to now. What I was going to ask was, if you listed the top 5 areas of concern for the Patriots going into this season, where would the offensive line be in that? That's my first. My second question is, a lot of people are saying, the Patriots are going to have a tougher schedule, and in fact they do, and therefore their schedules they're not going to be as good. But my question is, I understand the Bills have an even tougher schedule. Is that right? And if so, does that even matter?
Thanks for the call, Carl. I mean, look, schedule matters. I'll say this. Outside of 3 games, your schedule is determined by your division.
Right.
That's it. So when you see those division ranking, the schedule toughness rankings, usually the divisions, they might not all be 4 in a row, but they're usually pretty close. The Bills' schedule, you want to know how the Bills start the season? At Houston, quick turnaround to a Thursday night game versus Detroit, versus the Chargers, versus the Patriots, at the Rams, at the Raiders, bye week, versus the Ravens. They then get a couple of easier games, and then they're stretched between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thanksgiving night versus Kansas City, at the Patriots, at Green Bay, versus Chicago, at Denver on Christmas. So that's not the whole schedule, but those are 2 significant chunks. It's not easy either. How many wins the AFC East this year, Andy?
11, maybe 10?
Yeah, I think 11's probably the number. And maybe it's tied at 11, but it's not going to be 14.
Who did I just see? One of the projections, The Athletic maybe, had no one in the AFC winning 11 games.
Ooh.
They had basically a dogfight throughout the conference.
That feels about right.
And I think it could be true. I don't know this off the top of my head, but yes, the Bills and the Patriots are going to have very similar, very difficult schedules. Theoretically, the Patriots is harder because they won the division.
Right.
So they're playing division winners for 2 of those games that the Bills aren't playing. You can also get into year to year. Does that matter? Teams are different year to year because of injuries or whatever. They both have very difficult schedules. Yeah, I think it's going to be a dogfight for both of those 2 teams, which could make it interesting because their schedules are so difficult. The one that doesn't win the division and now doesn't have wins that match up maybe in a wild card scenario against other teams in the conference could be kind of an interesting situation.
So here's the differences. You want the 3 differences? And
yes,
then we got to go to break. The Patriots play the Seahawks. The Bills play the Rams.
Okay.
It's probably a wash.
I mean, I think the Bills get the tougher team.
Bills probably get the tougher
Rams are the best team in football right
now. The Patriots get the Steelers. The Bills get the Ravens.
Okay, Lamar's back. So the Bills have the tougher schedule. I can already answer the question before the third one.
Houston and Jacksonville. For Houston, for Buffalo.
But those first 2, the Bills have, by the luck of the draw and the way things played out, they have the tougher schedule.
Those all might be tougher. Houston might be a better team than Jacksonville.
Yeah, you could argue that, but I don't even think it's debatable, the first 2.
Yeah.
The Bills have the tougher schedule. Patriots going to win the division. We just solved it on a Sunday morning.
617-779-0985. You want to weigh in on it. More on the Patriots. And you mentioned Gabe Akis earlier, and we were talking about something off the air. How does Gabe Akis' development, what does that mean for the Patriots? Pass rush, edge rush, all that. We'll do that after this, plus your call, 617-779-0985. Alex Barth and Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports.
We've been talking a lot about the Patriots' depth after Mike Vrabel said after the game last night it's something that he is concerned about. No, he didn't really say he's concerned. He said, we're not a very deep team.
Maybe I'm still shaking off the Belichick era, who said nothing. I thought it was really interesting before a season starts for the head coach to just come out and say, we're not a very deep football team.
So, I remember, you remember Mike Petralia?
Yeah.
Trags. I started off working for Trags. Learned a lot from him. Great guy. Mr. Trags. I remember him telling me one time, when coaches say something at the podium, they're not really talking to us, the media. They're talking to the players. Mm-hmm. That stood out as one of those big moments where that was Mike Vrabel addressing his football team. The media just happened to be the ones in the room.
Team, Mike.
So you think the bottom 20 players was targeted at them, or the bottom 30 and the 10 guys that are competing to be one of the bottom 20?
Garvin's point. Bottom 20 on the 53, you're saying? Yeah, probably about that.
I also wondered if it was sort of a open for business kind of conversation. We're looking to add depth to our football team. We may be looking for more trades, more opportunities. We just brought in a Van Roten.
Yeah.
I wondered if there was a little bit of that too. And it was something that was echoed by Elliot Wolf at halftime on the broadcast. He was in the booth with the McCourty twins, and in one of his answers, he kind of raved about the Eagles' backups. They've had some great drafts in recent years. You can see right now their backups and what they're doing, kind of insinuating our backups don't measure up to the Eagles' backups, and that was something Vrabel was also talking about as they were kind of getting pushed around. But I think it's interesting if the GM and the head coach on the same night offer up this, wow, we're not a very deep football team.
And I think it matters. People are probably saying, who cares about the backups? Well, for all that gets made last year of, how did the Patriots punch so above their weight class? How did they finish with 14 wins? Everybody points to the schedule. I don't think the schedule was the biggest part of it. I'm not saying they didn't have an easy schedule, but I don't think the schedule was the biggest part of it. It was their injury luck. It was absurd. They really didn't lose a starter until, when did Milton Williams get hurt? I think he got hurt before Will Campbell, right?
November?
That was, I think it might have been the first week of December.
Okay.
And then they lost a couple guys there. Obviously, Milton Williams missed some time. Tonga, Will Campbell missed a month. Harold Landry, I guess, Harold Landry was hurt first, but he still played. When everybody asked who's the unsung hero of the 2025 Patriots, I kept saying the training staff, the medical staff. And some of it's luck, but they did a great job. But you can't count on that every year. It's the NFL. Guys get hurt. This depth is going to end up mattering. And it's one reason why, again, I went through the list of positions that Vrabel might be thinking of when he mentions they're worried about depth in no particular order: tight end, offensive line, edge rusher, linebacker, corner. I did not have defensive tackle on there, even though they struggled last night. Why? Because I think their backup tackles are fine for what backup defensive tackles are. The Eagles' backup offensive line is starters.
Right.
Cam Jurgens is starting caliber center. Drew Kendall in the draft can play. Markel Bell had a night last night. The massive guy they have a tackle from Miami, the rookie. For the Patriots, it's a little different. Speaking of Markel Bell, great night last night. By the way, 6'9", 346. Looks every bit of it.
And that was one of my biggest takeaways of joint practices. When you looked at their linemen walk around together as a group.
Massive.
Holy
Both
crap.
sides of the ball.
Oh, my. And both, you're right, absolutely. Yeah. Their offensive and defensive linemen just absolutely, they have a type.
Their whole roster is first off the bus guys.
Yeah.
That's their entire... There's something to be said for, all right, we're going to draft the guys that look the most intimidating, and we're going to draft all the Georgia players. Who would have thought that would be a winning strategy, huh? But Markel Bell with a good night last night. Some of that against Gabe Akis. To go back to the depth thing, Gabe Akis is a really important player in my mind in terms of sorting out what's going to happen with the Patriots. Because edge is probably their biggest question mark right now. Him being good helps a lot. Him struggling, now you're really... If he's a question and Harold Landry's a question, you're basically down to two proven players. And one of those players I'm counting as proven played just over 200 snaps last year. Liked what I saw, but was a rotational pass rusher. You're talking about a promotion on top of a promotion for him. What did you think of Gabe Akis last night? What have you thought of him in the preseason?
I think he's been wildly inconsistent. I think if he were fighting for your third or fourth pass rusher type role in a real team, No disrespect to the guys that are out there, but
in a real room.
2 starters, and now he's trying to be the guy that gets in where he fits in.
If everybody's healthy, Harold Landry's good to go. Draymond Jones is looking good. Elijah Ponder takes that step from last year, and then he's kind of slotted in as that 4th guy. Fine.
Yes, because I see flashes of he's got obvious physicality and power. He's more powerful than his size. Like, you look at him, and he looks relatively lean. And then when you see the reactions when he punches some of these offensive linemen and they go backwards, you're like, okay, the power is there.
Yeah.
The look is there, as Vrabel was, I think, one of the first to point out. He just looks the part.
He really does.
And
he looks like Brandon Spikes.
There's flashes of, they could have something here.
Right.
I also think he just gets taken advantage of. And I don't know if this is football IQ or just pure reps type of thing. You can screen the hell out of him. You can absolutely screen the hell out of him right now. Young pass rusher, that's probably to be expected.
Right.
Gets caught out of position at times, maybe overly aggressive other times. I don't know that he has a real package of moves or repertoire, whatever you want to call it, in terms of pass rusher. So, but to me, that's normal. I think that's what you expect, because if he had all those things, you wouldn't have drafted him in the 2nd round, right? Like, there's not enough pass rushers to go around in this world.
Right.
So if he were better than he is, I don't know that we'd be talking about him as a 2nd-round pick for the Patriots, if that makes any sense. And I just think that position, like, Ponder I like. I don't like that he's being treated as a starter. Jones I like mostly because he hates PFF and told us that in that interview. I don't know how good he is. I think that is the biggest position of need right now, that edge.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, I'm not stating anything obvious. I also, we came up with a guy. You want to share the guy we came up with?
Yeah, so I was going to go through this in a second. Just real quick on Akis. He just plays out of control.
Yeah.
And you kind of knew that that's what he was going to be coming out. He's a guy that plays with tremendous motor, tremendous violence, but that aggressiveness can get the better at times. And what you have to do, and it's not easy, but this coaching staff has been very good at developing players along the front. You don't want to tune that down so much that he loses some of what makes him so effective, which is that aggressiveness and that motor. But you can't be getting caught out of position. You just can't do it, especially against the run. Like, he gets washed out in the run game too much. So, like you said, is it just a matter of number of reps? I think that's part of it. He's just going to kind of see some more football and figure out when he can take some of those chances and when he probably shouldn't. Because I think he's strong enough to hold up on the edge. When you see him get moved, and it happened last night on one of their big runs, he's kind of letting the lineman do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that he doesn't have the power for it. It's he's thinking, well, I'm going to get over here and make a play. And the lineman's like, well, I know where the run's going. You go over there because you're not going to be able to get back, and that's fine. And so he just has to learn when he can and can't do that. If he gets it going, I feel better about where they're at on the edge. It's still not great, but I'd feel a lot better. If not, they definitely need to bring somebody in, regardless of what happens with Landry.
And the other factor here is I think Zach Core schemes up pretty good pass rush.
Yeah.
And I actually think if this offense is as good as I think it can be, that will allow the games to be played on Patriots terms.
Yeah.
Zach Core to scheme up pass rush. You can put in a Gabe Akis and say, listen, we're up 13 in the 4th quarter. They have to throw. You know what I mean? I think there's a formula where you just have to acknowledge your limitations at the position and ask everything. And you mix in, if you are healthy in the back end, you can cover. So I may be leading, I may force teams into passing, and I can cover in the back end. That's a scenario where you can get by with a less than ideal pass rush via scheme and situation.
Well, some of that, too, is stopping the run, which has also been an issue for them.
That I'm a little concerned about.
I am, too. The Eagles, it's tougher to gauge because they're just so, that's as good of a line as you're going to face.
Right.
So, but to your point, even if it is a close game, you get them in 2nd and 8, you get them in 3rd and 6 or 7, you can do that same thing where you're not worried about the run, you pin your ears back. So that's where they're at. Do they need to add somebody? I was looking at the list of free agents, Andy. You tell me how you'd feel about some of the guys on this list. Because they did meet with a defensive tackle last week in Daquan Jones, who wouldn't be a bad addition. They met with linebacker Shaq Thompson, who, if healthy, I think they should add at this point, especially after what we saw last night. On the edge, Bryce Huff. In or out on Bryce Huff?
Out.
Yeah, was he hurt or something? There was something going on with him. I'm trying to remember what it was, but he retired. That's what it was. He's just still on this list. Okay, so that's an easy out.
See, my instincts were good there. You don't want a guy who's retired.
No, you don't want to be signing retired players.
You were supposed to be at practice. I'm fishing today, guys. Sorry.
Remember when
The
Parcells
Patriots
used to say if they're thinking about retirement, you don't want them. If they actually retired, I really think you don't want them.
The Patriots sort of tried that once with Matt Corral. It did not work.
Yeah, no.
Although then he resurfaced in the spring league. Hassan Reddick.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, out. Joey Bosa, I don't believe is officially retired, but that's kind of the rumor is that he's done, or at least can take the year off.
Nah.
Which, if he wants to take the year off, he's retired.
Yep.
Leonard Floyd.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I'd call Leonard Floyd. I'd make call on Leonard Floyd. Played 41% of the snaps for the Falcons last year, 34 years old. Danico Autry, probably cooked at this point.
Vrabel guy, though, right?
Is he? Was he there in Tennessee? I think he was there before. Let's see.
I just threw that out there. I'm going to look that up.
No, because he played for Tennessee and Houston, but I think he missed Vrabel.
The only reason I know his name is because I remember him with the Titans.
No, he did play for Vrabel. Yeah. Spent the last 3 years with Vrabel.
Vrabel guy.
When in doubt, throw it out.
Now, he's a little bigger than the guys. He's a pure run player, 6'5", 285. But, yeah, okay. Danico Autry. Hang on, let me make sure he's not retired. He is not retired. Okay.
Make sure he's still alive and not retired.
I'm going to skip that name because I want to do that last. Derek Barnett.
Yes, I'd be interested.
Yep.
Kick the tires.
Josh Pascal.
No, thanks.
No?
No.
I liked him in the draft. He hasn't really panned out.
No.
All right. There's one more name on here that I actually think makes the most sense because you said earlier, they got Greg Van Roten, who's an experienced guard who can help. Can they find that guy on the edge? This guy's still unsigned. It doesn't sound like he's done. I actually think he tweeted earlier this offseason, if I remember correctly, about potentially joining, or should I say rejoining, the Patriots. Kyle Van Noy.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's the one.
I think, because it's funny, I said to you, the guy I would like is end-of-career Ninkovich, and I don't think there's a huge stretch. Kyle Van Noy, we've seen him have success here. We've seen him have success elsewhere. I think he still feels like he's a disrespected pass rusher.
Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. He's still playing a decent level of football, and I'm not looking for... I don't need you to come in and be like a 15-sack guy, defensive play. No. Just give me credibility. Just give me something to turn to if Ponder isn't who we kind of want him to be or need him to be. Yeah, I would take Kyle Van Noy.
Come in, reliably set the edge.
Yeah.
And if you offer a little bit as a pass rusher, great. Kyle Van Noy, by the way, July 31st, somebody tweeted at him, or he had tweeted something about golfing, and then somebody tweeted a GIF of him on the Patriots. I'm assuming this is a Patriots fan, and said, "We need help on the edge. Come home." He replied, "Could be in the works."
See? I'll take it.
So this was almost a month ago now.
Also, any of these guys, and I'm sure he would enjoy this, you can kind of live off of Milton Williams and Christian Barmore.
Oh, yeah. You're not doing the heavy lifting.
Right.
You're
Clean
not
it up.
Right.
Whatever falls in your face, touch it, and you'll get a sack.
Let's go to Matt Rhode Island, who has a thought on the edge room, and Gabe Akis. Matt, what's up?
Oh, yeah. And, having Van Noy back for the second time would be awesome. And just quick, Eddie, URI is ranked number 5. If I come up north for that game, I will hit you up. I hope your son's doing well up there. Anyway, yeah, so Mike Reese was talking yesterday. Is it what you said, Barth, or is it more like he's just freelancing because he doesn't know what's going on? It seemed like last year, obviously the biggest, strongest guy on the field in college, he had to make up for all that. But, I just want to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Matt. Freelancing feels strong. He's just an aggressive player.
Mm-hmm.
He sees an opportunity to make a play in that moment, and he sees red and he goes. You brought up screens. Well, all right, if the lineman's going to run over there, I see the quarterback. I'm just going to run to him. But when you see the lineman pulling, you want to react to the screen. So it's just, again, I wouldn't call that freelancing. I understand the question.
On a scale of 1 to Cassius Marsh, do we think he's really...
low.
He's not
to
there
even
yet.
invoke the name Cassius Marsh.
I have no problem with the way he's playing.
Okay, I thought you were going to say you have no problem with Cassius Marsh.
No. Yeah, I have problems with him. No,
we all do.
I would much rather have to refine and rein in than try to light a fire.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do on the other side of the ball. with their first round pick.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually think this is a good way for him to. It's not his fault that you need him more ready than he is.
Right. They're probably asking him to do more than he should be at this point.
Right.
Especially if he has to play the run, which is where he's really... he's been fine as a pass rusher. I mean, he's not amazing, but he's been more or less what I thought, and I think he can contribute as a pass rusher. I thought he'd be a little more ready in the run game because of where he's at physically. His football instincts aren't totally there yet. To the college point, he was the biggest, fastest, strongest guy in college because, when you're playing Purdue, if you overcommit, as an edge rusher, you're probably as fast as their starting running back. Right. And, I overcommitted. I can make up for it and get back and still make the play. You can't do that in the NFL. And that's what he has to learn, and that's what he has to adjust his game to.
Yeah, I think people are starting to really focus on him. Yeah. And I think that's probably going to do him a disservice because he isn't ready. And also factor in the late start. Right. He hasn't been here. That's another factor. Do I think whether it's football IQ, instincts, experience, however that is behind right now, would that be more ahead if he was here all spring? I would like to think so.
Right.
I think that if it wasn't, that would probably be a bad sign. So I think this is more a Patriots need Gabe Backus more than they should situation than it is Gabe Backus isn't good or is behind. You kind of are ill-prepared there. And if you could add a body and let him bounce down the depth chart a little bit, it would probably benefit everybody.
617-779-0985. You want to join us? We've talked a lot about the Patriots' lack of depth in certain positions. How about the one position where it's not even remotely a question? They've got maybe too much depth. We'll get into that next. It's Alex Barth and Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
he's right in noting that in a short period of time they went from barely could fill out a wide receiver depth chart to too many guys to fit on said depth chart.
It's a shame because, 2 or 3 years ago, Nick DeGennaro and Cameron Dorner would have been really fun stories in camp. And those, they might hang around on the practice squad, but those guys aren't going to be here on the roster, shouldn't be here on the roster at this point. There was one other comment, and that's about the wide receiver room as a whole. So Kyle Williams has kind of been at crossroads. Early in camp looked like he might not make the team. Reporting since, comments since. Mike Vrabel basically said he's going to be a part of what we do. So he's going to be here. What's his role? He's been up and down. That continued last night, 69-yard touchdown. Failed to do much beyond that, although he was on the field a good amount in the first half. But it was something Mike Vrabel said about him after the game, Andy, that got your attention, right?
Absolutely.
Let's hear it.
Mike, how are you weighing the joint practice reps specifically for the wide receivers versus what some guys like Kyle Williams are doing in the preseason games?
Well, I think that's a great question. The guys that, just want to give Kyle as many opportunities to continue to improve and do the things that, we've asked him to improve on and he knows he needs to improve on. And I love his ability outside the numbers to be able to stretch the field. And we wanted to give him some more opportunities to be able to do that, as well as, work on some of the stuff, that Todd and Josh have him, trying to improve on, And so, the guys that, played or didn't play, I felt like they got a lot of work, and Kyle probably needed a little bit more work. And it was good to see Chiz come out tonight and do some things and just try to be able to evaluate everybody as we look to build this roster.
I thought that was interesting tone in the beginning. Okay. And when you give somebody opportunities, I think there's two reasons. Because you really like them and you want them to get to where they need to be before you need them to do those things in real games and regular season.
Right, development.
Or you're giving them opportunities to prove I thought he kind of called him a one-trick pony there. I thought he kind of said, we love what he can do outside the numbers. He needs more opportunities. Mac Hollins, who played a crap ton against the Colts, was treated like a veteran starter last night.
Yeah.
He was not playing. I thought that tone from Mike Vrabel was very different than what you alluded to earlier when he was like, he's going to make plays and it's up to us to just get the ball to him and allow him to make plays. He played a lot last night.
Yeah.
And when he was able to run under first of all, get press coverage on a go route and then just run under a very nicely thrown ball, perfect. I think he's proven he can do that.
Yep.
Can he do that well enough to justify a roster spot, to justify a role with the team? Because earlier on the ball on the left sideline, I thought it was another example. He doesn't track the ball well. He doesn't go back to fight for it, doesn't try to draw a flag.
It's that second one, and they brought that up last week, the second and the third one, that when the ball's not on target, he maybe doesn't fully know what to do, and they've been coaching him on it, and Mike Vrabel called him out for it last week, and then you see it again last night, and you're like, oh, I did the same thing again.
Yes, and so is he good enough as just the deep threat? So I've come up with a player that I think he really reminds me of, and it's a guy that I really liked, by the way, liked, who was a part of some really good offense. Dante Stallworth was I think a first-round pick. So forget the pick necessarily, but like when he arrived in New England, you knew he could run fast. He was like a 4.1. He claims a 4.19 40 guy, I think.
He was the first ever 100 rated speed in Madden.
Okay, so maybe it's justified. But he was very good when he could catch with his hands like a basket. I'm sure, run under a ball and
over
just keep right on going. And I think Kyle Williams has shown I can do that. Can you run slants? Can you fight for the ball? Can you adjust to the ball? Can you do all those various things that make you a more valuable wide receiver and not just a one-trick pony? And I took a lot of grief last night because after the first one down the left sideline, I was like, I don't see him fight for the ball and I don't see him track well. And then a little while later, he's got a 69-yard touchdown and people are like, oh, this didn't age well. And I'm like, not the two very different things. I know he can beat a guy off the line, run straight down the field, and if DeVito or Morton hits him in stride, he's probably going to catch it and score. Can he do more than that? And I think Vrabel's asking himself the same thing. In fact, he said we needed to see him do more. Did he do more? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say I thought on that touchdown, and his release package is great. Getting off the line, I actually thought he tracked the ball well, at least from my angle. I don't know how it showed up on TV, but that was like right towards me in the press box. I actually didn't love that throw. It was a good throw, not a great throw from DeVito. He actually has to adjust mid-route, Kyle Williams, a little bit. So good for him there, but he might be a role player. The quote I was talking about from Mike Vrabel, this was back on August 7th. He gets asked basically like, hey, Kyle Williams should probably make the team just in terms of draft stock, but he's not practicing. Like, what's going on there? Vrabel says, again, all these opportunities, he'll continue to earn opportunities. I really know that Kyle is going to help us. His speed is going to help us. He's got a skill set. We're going to find ways to get him the ball, and it may be outside of just the normal installation of plays, but that's my responsibility, that's Josh McDaniels' responsibility, that's Todd Downing's responsibility, is to put him in those positions where we see the speed that showed up last year. And then he kind of just gets into what Kyle Williams can do. That answer to me, he's going to be a role player. And I think that makes him a good fit for McDaniels in that they might play a team that has slower corners. They might play a team that likes to play single high. Okay, we're going to get a decent amount of Kyle Williams this week, and we're going to stretch him vertically, and we're going to use the speed. There might be a team that has really good speed on the outside, that plays a lot of too high, that's good against the deep ball. We're probably not going to see Kyle Williams that week. I think everybody's trying to figure out what is Kyle Williams' role. And that might be a fool's errand. I think Kyle Williams is just kind of a, fun accessory for Josh McDaniels to have, that on any given week, if there's a certain matchup that you feel like you could use a burner, you're going to plug him in and try to exploit it. Because the one thing he has that I really think is helping him stay on the team is speed. They don't have a very fast wide receiver room. It's him and Pop Douglas, and Douglas is an inside player. Kyle Williams is really the only guy giving them speed on the outside. Dante Stallworth is a good comp, is probably the ceiling for this kind of player, at least in the Patriots system. I'll give you another player he's reminded me of.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Bethel Johnson.
No, because he can. I loved Bethel Johnson back in the day. I don't really remember why, but I was a huge Bethel. I thought they got him with the pick they traded Bledsoe for, which I don't believe is even correct.
I don't believe so, no.
But I really liked Bethel Johnson. Again, don't fully remember why, but heck of a kick returner. No,
he can return kicks, yes.
I think Bethel Johnson was actually one of my comps for him in the draft. So if he can return kicks and be that guy, sure. I was thinking more recent, a guy who played in McDaniel's offense, Damiere Byrd. And now it was the Cam year, and, they didn't really have reliable quarterback play. But if you looked at what Damiere Byrd was that year, by the way, kind of underrated player. Not great, but underrated player. Most weeks, Damiere Byrd didn't do much. But there were certain games where the matchup was there. Remember the game against Houston?
Yep.
Where Damiere Byrd just went nuts.
Yep.
And so if he's somewhere between Damiere Byrd and Dante Stallworth, and maybe that is what Bethel Johnson is, kind of in between those two guys, I think that's what you're looking at. They tried to make Bethel Johnson more than a role player.
Right. And I think that is the crossroads that we're at with Kyle Williams, because the quote you read, I thought the tone was, it's our job to get him, to allow his skills to lead to production, right? I thought last night's tone was, it's time for you to start producing. We're giving you opportunities in various ways, and it's time for you to start producing in those roles. And I thought that was a notable tone change for Vrabel. Yeah. And then I think the other thing that's interesting here is it seems like there's three guys at the bottom of the depth chart. Chisholm, Booty, and Williams.
Yeah.
All very different. So you're not picking who's better. You're picking which skill set do you want or need more?
And by the way, only one of those guys' skill sets is truly redundant, and that's Kayshon Boutte.
Yes. Also, though, the most proven of the three.
That is true, which also makes it weird.
The best relationship with the quarterback in terms of on-field rapport of the three, which is a tug at your, am I overthinking this? Am I taking that guy because of X or Y? Should I just take the guy that's made plays on an NFL field in playoff action against elite coverage for Drake May? Is it overthinking it to take that guy off the team? And I think an argument can be made that is overthinking it.
Do you think there's a chance they keep 7?
I do. I also think there's a chance that they could sneak Chisholm to the practice squad. I don't believe that if Chisholm is cut, he's immediately popping up on some other team. I don't see that. Is there a chance? Sure.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of football teams have an Efton Chisholm type that they've been developing for themselves for a year and a half, that they're not necessarily just going to cast that to the side for Efton Chisholm.
617-779-0985. You want to join us? Paul Perillo up with us next here. It's Alex Barth and Andy Hart on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
terms of preseason games, That's more or less what you're looking for. We all want to get to the regular season, but
yeah, it was rough for about 3 quarters plus 10 minutes, and all of a sudden the last 4 minutes some fun broke out. But yeah, I would agree with you. For the most part, you're seeing a look at the middle to the bottom of the roster. You're trying to figure out who's worth developing, and you want to just move on and get the regular season started.
Paul, let's. Barth and I were just talking about Kyle Williams, and he seems like he's becoming a bit of a polarizing player midway through his second summer here. And in the discussion, obviously, you have too many wide receivers, depth at receiver. I tweeted out he can't track the ball, doesn't fight for the ball. Then he has a 69-yard touchdown. Where do you? I've also compared him to, and you may remember this. I always thought Dante Stallworth was a guy that, as long as he was running under the football, he was a pretty good target down the field. When you asked him to do some other things and kind of hands catch, he wasn't quite as good. Where are you on Kyle Williams' development and what he can be for the Patriots?
So I would really agree with the characterization of a polarizing guy. Just to illustrate where we stand, Andy, you're not too far removed from our pre- and post-game shows, the good, the bad, and the injured, right? So I kind of had Kyle Williams on both the good and the bad list last night, so he is kind of polarizing. We see the speed, we see the release off the line when he runs, and we were talking to Troy Brown about this last night. Troy feels like Kyle Williams has a completely different skill set when he's running a go route than any other route that he runs.
Yep.
His release off the line of scrimmage is just different when he knows he's running a go route, and he's really tough to beat in that situation, but he doesn't do the same kind of releases when he's running a 12-yard out or a hook or whatever else, he's got to be asked to do. You can't just do one thing. Your Dante Stallworth, Andy, I think that would be I think they would be thrilled to have Dante Stallworth. I kind of looking more Bethel Johnson.
We also brought that up.
We brought up Bethel. We had Dante Stallworth, Bethel Johnson, and Demir Bird were the 3 names that were invoked talking about Kyle Williams.
I would say, he's kind of venturing into one-trick pony territory. Now, that one-trick pony on a really good offense can be valuable. I think if you have A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs continuing to ascend the way they have in camp the last, say, 2 weeks, you have Demario Douglas is kind of, you kind of know what you're going to get there. He's a reasonably reliable guy who chips in, and Matt Collins does a little bit of everything. So you're not asking Kyle Williams to be a huge part of your offense, but can you ask him to run 2 or 3 go routes every week, and maybe he catches one every 2 or 3 games? I think that can be, a valuable addition to the offense. I think that's where we stand with him right now. I don't know if he has more than that in him eventually, but I certainly want to continue to develop that as a second-year guy with that kind of skill set, because I don't think everybody can get by virtually any corner the way Kyle Williams has demonstrated, at least in the summer.
Paul, that's one position where obviously the Patriots have a lot of depth. How about the rest of the roster? What did you make of Mike Vrabel saying last night that he does not believe the Patriots are a very deep team?
Yeah, I would agree with him, but I want to get your opinion. You two guys have been covering the team for a while now. Can you ever remember a coach saying something so blunt like that?
Not here.
No.
Yeah, I was taken aback by that. I don't disagree with anything he said or his mentality.
No, he's right. That's part of what makes it so jarring.
But why'd he say it?
Right. Well, I think he said it to try to pave the way for not playing the guys against Cleveland and sort of heading off that narrative that will develop among the old school guys. How do you get prepared to play football without playing football? Well, you make sure that they're healthy when they get into the season, and I think that's the way he's looking at it. But, yeah, I was really taken aback by that, the bluntness of that comment last night. And I think we sometimes – I definitely am guilty of this. Like, they progressed so fast last year, you sort of think in your mind that they've ascended to a spot that they probably haven't really ascended to yet. It's still a building process. It's still just his second season here. And the fact that last year, when you went into training camp, you had some questions about, various starting jobs. How's this one going to work out? How's that one going to... just as an example, think about how much a difference a year can make. Marcus Jones, heading into last year, in my mind, was an elite punt returner and kind of a question mark as a slot corner. I don't look at him that way anymore. He's no question mark as a slot corner anymore. So they've really come in, and that's just one example. There's 3 or 4 different examples like that. They didn't really have a lot of, I would say, starting jobs open heading into training camp, But that doesn't mean that the roster is stacked. And I think he told you last night, we do not have, say, what Philadelphia has. I thought Elliot Wolf's comments at halftime of the broadcast were kind of telling in that regard, too. And you see the way the second and third stringers for Philadelphia pushed New England all over the field in the first half of that game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to next. I actually think this is out of the Vrabel playbook that we actually saw a year ago. I believe it was the Giants preseason game where he said, you need to remember, we're in our first camp here, and we're in our first foundational year.
I think it was the Vikings joint practice where he kind of started like tempering expectations.
And I think he's doing that again. And I don't know if this is coincidental or this is what he's going to do every year near the end or the middle of the preseason, because I think we can all agree that things are going to go more difficult at times this year, and there may be a regression, and there may be not quite as many wins, and I wonder if he's trying to rein in the expectations coming off a Super Bowl, and with something that's factual. He's not making crap up here.
Right.
They are a team that lacks depth, but I wonder if he's saying that so that when they are 5-4 after 9 games, and everybody's like, "Why are you 5-4?" Well, he did tell us in the preseason that they're not a very deep football team, Paul.
Yeah, no, and I think Alex bringing up the comments in Minnesota last year. I think I hadn't really even remembered that, but yeah, there is a coincidence involved in that, and maybe it's a little bit more than just a coincidence. Maybe that's kind of his style. He tries to get to a point in training camp where he downplays things a little bit, because that was a big story when you guys were out in Minnesota. Back here, it was like, oh, is he trying to let everybody know we're not as good as everybody thinks we are, and people are getting too excited here, and then all of a sudden they go out and go 14-3. So maybe he's trying to do it again, understanding what Andy just said. There's going to be more bumps in the road this year. Last year, let's use this as an example. A lot's been made of the tempo that they've been playing at, trying to play a little bit faster this summer than they did last year. They were one of the slower teams in terms of plays last year, time between plays. Well, doesn't that make sense when you're in complete control of, 13 out of your 17 games at halftime?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they played a bunch of bad teams that they completely dominated, especially in the second half of the season once they got their feet under them. Yeah, they're just running the ball and they're running clock, for the last half of the third quarter through the fourth quarter. So I don't think that you can expect that again this year, given the schedule, given more importantly than just the opponents, the travel. I think the travel will be a little bit more challenging this year. You can't expect to just be able to go out there and run clock in the second halves of these games. And I think offensively they understand that. I think Josh McDaniels is working to some things to make sure that they have different answers for when they get tests like they had in the playoffs against those 4 defenses that they played in the playoffs. I think they're looking to have more answers to those kinds of problems.
Again, we're talking to Paul Perillo from Patriots.com. Paul, what's your thought been on the rookie class so far this training camp and preseason?
Yeah, it's been about what I expected, because I wasn't really anticipating having tremendous amounts of contributions from these guys. Lomu, I think in a perfect world, wasn't going to start this year, and it certainly looks like he won't be ready to. Akis is the one guy that I've sort of been a little bit disappointed in that I thought that he would have a chance to be a regular contributor, and he probably still will be, but that to me is more of an indictment on the position than anything else. I haven't really seen a whole lot from him physically yet. I know he has power to play on the edge. I'm a little concerned about his ability to just, purely be an athlete and get after the passer. I haven't really seen that unless there were plays last night where he was completely unblocked as part of the scheme. He shows, good aggressiveness in that regard, but I'm not expecting a huge amount from the draft class. I was a little disappointed not to get to see any Eli Raritan last night. I do think he has a chance to sort of maybe wedge himself into that Austin Hooper type of role as a pass-catching second tight end at times. But, I don't know how you guys feel. I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of a redshirt year for really all of them, with the lone exception of Akis. I think Akis will play significant snaps, but I wouldn't expect a tremendous amount from anybody else.
Paul, the we're not a deep football team answer was telling us why they're not playing. Are you okay with that? In the year 2026, for this football team coming off a Super Bowl, whatever all the factors you put in there, or are we going to snarkily be talking about, hey, maybe Craig Woodson wouldn't have missed that tackle in Seattle if he had actually played some preseason action and tackled somebody in a game environment? How do you think about this plan, big picture, heading into a huge game in the opener?
Yes and yes. Yeah, I'm okay with them not playing, but I know I'll be snarky if something happens because, it's just kind of what I do. I think Mike has talked a little bit about some of these things. So there was one of the national games, like maybe Thursday night, Friday night. I think it was Thursday night. The Chargers played, and Justin Herbert and the starters go out there and they play a series. They go 3-and-out. So do you feel better? Okay, my starters played. You can't tell me my starters didn't play. They played 3 plays. So I don't know what you get out of that. If Mike said, we need to knock some rust off, we need to have a little bit of a dress rehearsal, and they played, say, into the second quarter against Cleveland, I wouldn't agree with it. I think that would be risky. But I could understand the thought process. I don't understand the thought process of playing a guy a series and then taking him out. 8 plays. What is the difference between 8 snaps and no snaps? I don't really think there's much to be gained there. I think the Patriots' offense, for the most part, is filled with guys that have been there and done that at this point. Last year, it made all the sense in the world to play Drake May. It was his first year in Josh McDaniels' offense. Now he's a little bit more comfortable in that system. I think he's gotten a little bit more comfortable with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, and those would be the 2 guys that are new. But I have no problem with it. I think make sure you get these guys healthy and ready to go. There's too many injuries that happen, I think, in these practices, in these preseason games. It would spook me a little bit too.
Absolutely, and Jeremiah Love in Arizona is probably the poster child for it this year. And I would say, Paul, I'm actually more okay with the offense not playing. I think if I were going to play anybody, it'd be what I just talked about. The Craig Woodson, the Ponder, the Spillane, because I have questions about the defense in general, and I am already envisioning me talking about poor tackling, missed tackles, broken arm tackles to start the season. And a guy like Ponder, to me, he is not elevated to the point where I say he's too valuable. I don't even know what he is. I like him. I predicted 8 sacks, but he's being treated like he's freaking the second coming of Julius Peppers.
Alex, it's great to see that Andy hasn't, gone off of his ridiculously wild projections of random players. I think he predicted Gerard Mayo was going to win Defensive Player of the Year one year based on a preseason game in Tampa Bay.
Wrong. I said he wouldn't win it because he and Andre Carter were going to split the votes out of New England.
I stand corrected, Alex. I stand corrected.
I think Carter had a good year that year.
He did. Thank you.
He did. Was he a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Alex?
He was not.
I don't think so.
He was not.
Well, because he split with Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, too many good players.
It's too much. They killed each other. They canceled each other out. So I could see what you're talking about, Andy, because I do think tackling is a little bit more of a skill that is, it's the only way you can do it. You have to actually tackle. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I could be convinced of that, and I agree with your premise too. Christian Ellis, Elijah Ponder, Craig Woodson, those guys, have not necessarily been cemented, in their roles. Woodson's probably the closest. He started every game last year. But, yeah, I mean, they could probably use a little bit of game action. But, again, I'm not going to quibble with a coach that says, you know what, I'm going to get my guys prepared on the practice field and we'll be ready to go. I do think the amount of time they've been in pads during the course of the summer might be sort of an indicator that they didn't plan on playing much in the preseason because they've been in pads, 13, 14 times at this point. I think they'll be in pads again on Monday, for one of the last practices that we'll get to see as a media corps. So maybe that's what it was, Andy. Maybe he's just looking at it. We're going to make it a little bit tougher on him in training camp than we did last year. We're going to have him be a little bit more physical, but the trade-off of that is we're not going to play him in the preseason, and maybe they can get off to a better start than they did last year because I think that 1-2 start might have had something to do with why he's been in pads more often this year.
Paul, before we let you go, more of a request than a question. Please make Evan Lazar actually discuss Baron Morton as a punter this week. I want him to actually have to talk about that.
So this is kind of interesting, too. Andy, I felt like you a little bit last night. Just didn't pass the sniff test to me. At halftime, Steve Burton asked him about Baron Morton, and he said just for an emergency situation. Nothing wrong with Barringer, just, getting our emergency list straightened out. And I sort of looked at that as like, your potential third-string emergency quarterback is going to be your emergency punter who kind of can't go in the game.
Right.
is he even going to be on the roster? Like, I needed more information. Sure enough, at the end of the game, he has a different answer.
Yep.
Behringer wasn't available, battling some kind of illness or whatever it was. So that to me made a lot more sense. But yeah, your guy, what you have for hang time, Alex, for any of Morton's kicks?
488, 401, and then it was like 38 something.
Ooh, that's low.
Andy, I had no doubt that he would actually have it.
He's the best. He's the best. And there's an audience for it.
There clearly is.
Absolutely.
I keep getting asked. I had like 10 people come up to me in the press box and ask me.
I wouldn't be
halftime.
surprised if Morton asked you, hey, what'd you have me for?
He didn't ask me, but I'll get that to him if he wants it, if he's listening.
I thought it was funny the way he kicked. Like, he kicked it the way I would kick it in high school. Like, he just kind of, held it out away from his body and, let it go and then just kicked it.
Yes. One step, get the hell rid of this thing so I don't get killed.
It's almost like a guy who hadn't punted in a game since high school.
And didn't know he was going to.
But it was pretty, I will say, he was, for a third-string rookie quarterback, I thought he did a pretty good job.
He got the ball down there. Could have gone a lot worse. He is Paul Perillo from
Touchback.
Patriots.com.
Don't care for it.
Paul, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we can't have that touchback. What are we doing? Plus 50 putting. We got to work on that with the quarterback.
See you, Paul.
See you, Paul.
All right, guys. Thanks.
We got to hit the break. We'll come back. More Patriots talk. We do have some open phone lines, so go to your calls if you guys want to call in. 617-779-0985. Alex Barth and Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
not even mostly, basically exclusively Patriots.
As we should be.
For the first 2 hours, as we should be. But, as I said off the top of the show, this is like the first multi-sport reaction kind of day we've had in a while as we come out of the doldrums of summer. Because the Red Sox, in a season where they've had a number of games where you think, how the heck did they pull that one out? Last night's high on that list.
Yeah.
As they beat the San Francisco Giants. And as they continue to take care of business in this series, Rafael Devers returned to Boston. Now, the Giants have not been much of a team this year. They're 52-77. But the Red Sox keep pulling off close wins against Devers' new team. He went 0 for 4 last night, by the way. But the real story, again, the Red Sox looked dead in the water for the majority of that game. And then come the ninth inning, get just enough to grab their 70th win of the year. They are the third team in the American League to reach 70 wins. All three of those teams, unfortunately for the Red Sox, are in the AL East. It is the Rays, it is the Yankees, it is the Red Sox. They are now 6.5 up on the last wild card spot, Texas Rangers, 3 back of the Yankees, and it's and change with the Rays. I can't do this off the top of my head. Oh, no, it's an even 6 with the Rays. So
closer to first place than you are missing the playoffs. So
that is true. That is true.
97%, I think, is the latest.
Do I have it here?
Percentage chance according to all the analytics. And that little blip
turned out to be a blip.
We're forgotten about now. I do have a admission, I guess. Probably not supposed to admit this. Do you know who got the win last night for the Boston Red Sox?
Don't off the top of my head.
Ryan Garvin, do you?
I do. I have it right in front of me, so don't ask me.
Okay. Who the bleep is that?
Oh, who is this? Is that Sam? Is his name Sam? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be Wyatt Olds.
Oh, no. I'm looking at the Giants.
Wyatt Olds. Anyone?
He plays for the Red Sox.
Yeah, he got a
Apparently.
win. He's got a 0 ERA on the year and 4 strikeouts.
A long baseball reference page for a guy that is 27 years old.
Yeah.
Olds was selected by the Red Sox in the 7th round with the 196th overall pick in the MLB 2021 draft.
He's made 3 appearances. He's yet to allow a run.
Look at him. I just think that's another example of, like, this team is winning baseball games. Even last night, you had a guy who goes 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts driving the winning run. The winning run was a guy that a day or two after the trade deadline, I'm watching a game at Fenway Park. Bases are loaded. They're trying to come back, and it's like E. White at the plate. And I was like, again, don't want to expose myself. I know I'm supposed to know these things. Who the hell is E. White at the plate with the game on the line, and why don't we have a pinch hitter in the batter's box? Guy flies. Although I don't know, is diving into home plate, doesn't science tell me if you run right through it, you have a better chance? You're faster?
Does science dictate that? I skipped a lot of science classes.
I would think so, because you run through first base.
Right. So I think it's the same thing. Either way, he slides. It's upheld. It's one of those reasons why I hate replay. Just
yeah,
because there was a chance that you celebrated a walk-off win only to be told, and I think Willie Abreu actually mentioned this, they ripped my jersey. Had we needed to keep playing, I would have needed a new jersey. That's one thing I hate about replay, but another crazy win where you can't really explain it. You got a guy having a terrible night at the plate, and Abreu was terrible at the plate, and yet he's also kind of the hero.
Wilyer Abreu in the month of August. Where is he? I mean, he's hitting 319 this month, and he's rebounded because July was hideous for him. If it wasn't for guys like Contreras kind of carrying the team all along, I think there'd be more focus on what Wilyer Abreu wasn't doing last month. I mean, that was such a bang play, and I
think it's even still controversial today, right? There's some people saying that they got the review wrong.
Oh yeah, there are some people. Screw you, you're wrong.
I think it's close enough to argue that they probably did get the review wrong, but the throw wasn't great, and it just pulled the catcher just enough off the bag to get the win. But it's kind of how they were awful for a good portion of that game yesterday, and in the times when they were playing really poorly, they would just gift wins to the other team. Like, they gifted the Colorado Rockies a bunch of wins that they had no business giving them. Now they're on the other side of it. And when you've already built up this cushion of being 10 games over 500, everything you're getting like this when you have all these bad teams throughout the month of August going into September is going to be such a blessing for them as they continue to try and figure out what exactly is this lineup going to look like in a few weeks when we start getting guys back.
And every game you win with Patrick Sandoval on the mound is like, thank you.
And that's what I was going to say is you can't hit with Sandoval on the mound. That you should be checking out of that one. And you look at where they went from there. I just want to go back to Wyatt Olds for a second.
Oh, your guy.
Because the bullpen has been beat up, and it's been a strength of theirs, and now suddenly it isn't. You get a scoreless inning from Greg Weissert, which, I mean, kind of like Sandoval.
Your lottery tickets.
Right? So you go Sandoval, Weissert. Oh man, we're still in this thing. Giovanni Moran's been good this year. I won't pick on him, but you get a scoreless inning from him, and then you find Wyatt Olds somewhere. The 21 draft you said, I think, out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing they're going to need. Is I've talked about this going back to when they were on that winning streak. Something's going to have to happen with this team when water finds its level, and we're finding that they have a whole other kind of trove of players that they're able to call up and make plays, and now they're going to start getting guys back. Roman Anthony seems like he's on his way back. I don't know how you feel about Trevor Story. I'm actually okay if he doesn't come back.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, but he's coming back.
It's unfortunate.
You need, and this is why I'm not completely on the other side of that argument, but assuming Wilson Contreras is dealing with something and the people around the team are basically telling you that he is,
right?
He still played one of the better games I've seen at first base all year. Andrew Monasterio cannot. The ball comes out of his hand, and nobody, including your first baseman, knows where it is going. The flip. So, on one hand, you might go, well, that might be a point in Trevor Story's favor. It's not, though, because Trevor Story had, I think, as many throwing errors when he was healthy as Andrew Monasterio has now. So if it's a matter of the bat, Andrew Monasterio, despite the fact that I still really don't think he's like an everyday player, he continues to produce when you need him to produce. And if you're going to have guys at the bottom of the order being completely inconsistent, no, I don't care that Jarren Duran is hitting 270 in the last 20 days. He still sucks. You need guys that are going to pick up your guys when, Wilyer Abreu has a bad day or Ceddanne Rafael is kind of like in between right now. So if Andrew Monasterio is going to continue to produce for you, I can't fathom why you would rush Trevor Story back outside of, well, we're paying him $25 million, so he has to play.
Yeah, that seems to be the argument for a while now, that the contract has kept him in the legitimate conversation. But Adley Rutschman, another 0 for 4 game where you haven't exactly gotten the jolt of offense.
Is he somebody we can talk about returning in theory?
Oh, no.
Like to help this team? Because he certainly hasn't shown up. You get what I'm saying? Like,
100%. Because if this is all you're getting, then I'm not real excited about how that went down. But they continue to win. So it's like, if you're the fan out there, you're like, what are these guys bitching about? They continue to win. They're going to the playoffs. Roman Anthony's coming back. Garrett Whitlock's coming back. Hell, maybe we'll get Crochet out of the bullpen. Why are these guys always so negative? I don't know, because I watch things and I'm like, how the bleep is this happening?
But then they also, and those same people are, I think, also the people that are booing Wilson Contreras for not hustling out of the box. But the grander point is a lot of the flaws with this team that have been flaws all year. Like, guess what? You still don't have a productive catcher.
Right.
But you can overlook these things because your pitching continues to be good, whether it's Wyatt Olds or Giovanni Moran or even Alec Gamboa that the front office kind of picked up, I think, from Pittsburgh last month has been, when he first came in, not great, but he has been kind of just doing what they need him to do. All of those things don't matter as long as you can continue to kind of squeak these wins out at this point. I don't know if that's going to translate to like late September, October. I personally don't think it will, but you can continue to get away with a lot of mediocre baseball if teams are going to gift you wins like that.
But you can also talk yourself into optimism, and I don't think it's a pie. Well, Roman Anthony.
You can. I'm not.
I can. I'm optimistic, Andy. That's what I'm known for.
I think you can be optimistic. It depends on the player.
Like Roman Anthony.
You can be optimistic about Roman Anthony.
Is it not possible that by the end of September, he's your leadoff hitter getting on base at, a 400 clip and looking like the guy you expect or want him to be based on the best month plus of baseball that he played at the big league level a year ago.
That's what he was last year.
Right.
So
that's not like in the old days. Remember NFL contracts? I don't even know. This might even predate your time. There were like likely to be earned incentives.
Yeah, no, that still exists.
And they're all based on one thing: the previous year.
Right. What'd you do? A likely to be earned incentive is something the player did the last year.
So last year, Roman Anthony, for a period of time, was a very good leadoff hitter for the Boston Red Sox. So I don't think it's crazy to think that for a period of time later this fall, early summer, late summer, early fall, he could be that. Garrett Crochet, I'm getting a little more dubious we're going to see him at all based on sort of the track record. But if you get Garrett Whitlock back, that helps stabilize your bullpen, right? Like that makes you with Miller and sort of the things you've done in his absence, makes you a better bullpen. Trevor Story, I don't know that I can really sell you on much from Trevor. Adley Rutschman, I'll skip right over Trevor Story.
No, I'll give you something on Trevor. You want some optimism on Trevor Story? Because I pulled this stat up looking for gotcha, and it was actually more optimistic than I thought. You know what the Red Sox record is when Trevor Story plays since 2004?
I have no idea.
106-94.
Okay.
I would have thought they were well below 500.
You're a winning baseball team with Trevor Story out there,
now,
baby.
they were 17-23 when he played this year.
Okay.
But in the last 3 years, they won more than they've lost with Trevor Story in the lineup.
He steals you some bases. He's efficient there. He swings and misses a lot. I'm not going to deny that fact.
Maz has some really good stats about him being like the worst shortstop at the plate in the majors this year.
Well, I did argue yesterday with Hurley that had Trevor Story come back sooner, that historic game you played a week plus ago where everybody had an RBI and nobody struck out would have been gone because he would have struck out. He would have ruined an SID stat for the Red Sox this year.
And regardless of whatever we think about what that specific shortstop platoon is going to look like, I think the Red Sox have to be sure that they are good with Trevor Story and Andrew Monasterio going forward, because I think Eric Miller has probably had more good games than bad games for the Red Sox, but you flipped a guy in Marcelo Meyer. And I know people at this station would say you had to get rid of him now. I don't agree with that. I think you could have tried to milk that thing for a little more in the offseason if you were so desperate to get rid of a guy that might have been a malcontent for the team. But you basically said, all right, we're going into this with Trevor Story hopefully coming back at some point, Andrew Monasterio being our everyday guy, and maybe spell him with Anthony Siegler. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it should matter what we think, but it doesn't matter because the Red Sox are looking at this going, we have to be okay with Andrew Monasterio, maybe Anthony Siegler, and the return of Trevor Story just not being a complete vortex on offense and defense.
More on the Red Sox coming up, plus your calls, 617-779-0985. Alex Barth and Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports.
Can honestly say no. Should I?
Sometimes
nice
I have
or
it up.
mean?
It depends.
The Twittery?
It's a little more unhinged, not necessarily in a better way or worse way.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
They'll kind of like have their own conversations sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll react. I'll look every once in a while, I'll see if there's an interesting topic or a question. And I open it up, and the first two things I see are somebody saying, I like cheese, and the next person saying, I don't smell like cheese. And then somebody talking about Chad Tracy's pinch hitting strategy.
So it's just like Twitter.
That's a pretty good summation of. So here's 4 messages in a row from the YouTube chat. Who's this fool? I like cheese. I don't smell like cheese. Tracy inserted 2 pinch hitters into the 9th inning rally. Jones got hit by a pitch. White singled in the first run and scored the winning run. Not bad, Chad. I love cheese. Big fan.
I like cheese. Cheese good.
So maybe I'll check for questions there too. But again, you guys want to talk with us, 617-779-0985. Bit about where the Red Sox have been there. And again, another one last night that's like, how the heck did they had that game lost. They snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Have now won 4 of their last 5. That lone loss coming in extra innings. It's not like hockey where you get a point, but I still think that's notable. They have not been beaten is it still regulation in baseball? What do you call it in baseball?
9 innings?
9 innings, I guess. Yeah, they've not been beaten in 9 innings since August 16th. They've not lost in 9 innings at home since August 9th. But they got a big week coming up. They'll play the Giants again tonight. They'll go for the sweep. A sweep that, by the way, especially with Jake Bennett on the mound, they should get. This Giants team's really bad.
Yeah.
They got to be demoralized after last night. It's a bit of a getaway day for them. They're going to, I believe, fly back across the country after tonight. I think this is the end of their road trip. Let me double check that. It is. They play the Reds tomorrow at home. And then you get to kind of a big week. Maybe the biggest week left on the schedule. And it's a 7-game road trip. 7 games in 6 days. Oh, no, it's 7 games in 7 days. They have an off day. They're at Miami starting on Monday. That may not sound like a big series. The Miami Marlins, it's interleague, whatever. The Marlins are 66-64 in the mix for that last wild card spot in the National League. They're 4 games out. They also have one of the best home records in baseball. They're 40-25. This is a sneaky challenge here. You're going to get Sandy Alcantara in the Tuesday game is slated to start. And then they'll have a day off Thursday. It's 4 games in 3 days against the Yankees. With a doubleheader on Saturday. 4 games. Andy, the Red Sox are currently 3 behind the Yankees.
Yeah.
Massive series.
Yes. And a series I feel good about. I don't know if we noted it, but Giancarlo Stanton pulled a Chris Sale. And while recovering from one calf injury, apparently fell down and injured the other calf, done for the year, basically, which I also find weird. Like, what the hell happened that a calf injury while rehab, you're done for the year?
Is it one of those things, sometimes you hear guys who are recovering from an Achilles injury injure the other one?
Oh, yeah,
because there's so much overcompensation. But I don't think I've heard it with a calf.
No, very strange. Also, I said this to Hurley yesterday. He's a power hitter, like... You can't just stumble to the plate like Kirk Gibson and hit a bomb every once in a while that maybe in a pinch hit role that somebody would need.
Nobody's asking Giancarlo Stanton to run.
No, that's not how.
Well, apparently the Yankees are actually, but
right. But no, I again after that weird lull that had me questioning everything.
Yep.
Literally, like Rob Parker had shortly before that predicted they're going to miss the playoffs, and he was doubling down on his idiocy. And then they went in the Toronto thing where I think it was a Tuesday night in Toronto.
Oh, the
extra
fourth out game.
That whole thing, I thought maybe the clock had struck midnight, and that was just like we're back to. I started calling them Alex Cora's Red Sox. They were making some of the same mistakes.
Yep.
Earlier in that game, Abreu had a throw to the plate that hit Wong one hop right in the mitt, and it just bounced off his mitt, allowed a run to score. And I was just wondering, you said it earlier, Ryan, they were winning games they shouldn't have won at times, and then it was like they were going back to no, you should lose these games. When you do dumb stuff, you should pay for it.
Jaron Duran is still looking for that ball in Colorado. I swear.
And yet now we're back to they're believable. And you read some of or listen to some of the quotes from last night, and they believe in themselves. No matter what the situation, they think, oh, that guy will get on, and then that guy will do something, and then I'll do something, and if I don't, the guy behind me will do something. And that's the one thing where I do, and this, I know you get criticized when you say this, like some of the group on Twitter, maybe in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Like,
they're aware we're watching now, so it's, that whole thing about, like, you can't observe something without impacting it, and it changes the observation.
It's like when my cat's doing something dumb and I whip my phone out and then he just stops.
Right.
Be like,
Yeah.
what?
But it's like, these are the parts where I wonder, Trevor Story, forget about what he does. Whether it's a strikeout, an error, a nice play. Does his arrival change anything? Is there just a different feel? Unk. Remember when they were trying to tell me he was Unk and he was going to take over for Bregman and he was going to be the veteran? Well,
he's going to be the leader.
If he saunters into this clubhouse that he hasn't really been a part of, just his air, his aura, his existence, does that change anything? And is it stupid for me to ask that question?
No, I think it's fair. And I think the bigger question is, does it change things for better or for worse? He had those comments last week, and Maz wrote about this on 98.5thesportshub.com. We talked about it. They kind of asked him, he was in Worcester and got asked about his timeline. It was like, yeah, I should be good by Wednesday. Right. And then you had Chad Tracy come out and be like, well, we really haven't even thought that far ahead yet. He's already trying to put himself back on the big league club. That's not a super encouraging sign.
But I would say what is a super encouraging sign? That the interim manager kind of checked it.
Told him to, hey, hang on here. And this is not your team. No, Chad Tracy handled that beautifully.
And where is Trevor Story right now?
Believe still in Worcester.
I believe Syracuse, but yes.
Oh, Syracuse, okay.
He's in Worcester, but he's in Syracuse. Like, I think there was value in that. And I think that might be a sign of the way this could be handled. Like, we're going to handle it to win baseball games. And yes, you're back with the club, but that doesn't mean every night you're the shortstop, or that doesn't mean we're bowing down to the altar that is the veteran Trevor Story. Now, I also wonder, Roman Anthony, is it the same thing? Like, when he comes back, what we were talking about earlier, does he just slide into the leadoff spot because I'm WBC superstar Roman Anthony who rubs elbows with Darren Judge? Or does he need to kind of get in where he fits in? And I think this is really interesting for Tracy. I've been saying this for a while now.
This is his biggest test yet.
Yeah, because he's been able to do what he's kind of done his whole career, manage a AAA baseball team successfully, right? Like, that's what this group has been. Well, now he's getting stars back, superstars back, role guys whose roles are supposed to be defined. How does he manage that version of the Red Sox as they head toward the playoffs?
And on top of that, there's real pressure now. You take over a team 10 games under 500. What's anybody expecting Chad Tracy to do?
Right.
Get us to the end of the season and then have fun back in Worcester. We'll see you. We'll find the next guy called Torey Lovello.
You might get an interview for the real job at the end of the year if it goes well.
Right.
Now it's like everybody wants the interim tag removed. He's done a great job. But you're right. There was no pressure.
Blow it,
there was no place but up when he took the job.
And if you blow it, you go, you go into that would be what a choke, right? That would be right up there with 2011 if they blow this and don't make the playoffs.
Oh yeah. You're talking about now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If they blow it now, you're talking about.
So now you're figuring some of this out with when's the last time that the Red Sox had real stakes like this? Even last year when they made the playoffs, it always felt like, all right, somebody's got to make it. Third wild card team, they're going to back in whatever.
Right.
It's been a minute since it felt this real with the Red Sox, which is good.
It was that last Baltimore-Washington series in 2021 where you kind of backdoored your way into the playoffs there. That was a team that was still shorthanded. You needed a first baseman. They're like, oh, Kyle Schwarber. Like, okay, well, he doesn't play first base. Yeah, but Kyle Schwarber. Okay, fine.
I remember.
But they needed to win those games. They had to win those games if they wanted to make the playoffs because they had done the same swan song that they had always done when Alex Cora was the manager here, where they're plucky and hot and they look good in July and then they don't get what they want at the trade deadline and they fall off a cliff in August and September. But as far as real stakes, that's probably the last time there was true meaningful baseball outside of their little playoff run last year.
I remember that weekend because it looked like the Red Sox are going to get eliminated from the playoffs by the Washington Nationals. You remember what else was happening that weekend? Anybody? early October 2021?
No.
That was, I think, the last game of the year. I think it was the last day of the season or second to last day of the season was the Brady game in Foxborough.
Oh.
And I remember sitting there like, the Red Sox are going to get knocked out by the Washington Nationals, and Tom Brady's coming back to Gillette with another team. What is happening?
That leaves a mark.
Yeah, that was, when you grow up, you make your whole identity Boston sports, you don't consider there might be a weekend like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys anticipate, just going back to the, Roman Anthony probably coming back and Trevor Story coming back, do you anticipate any kind of front office meddling when it comes to, okay, these are the guys that we want to see versus Chad Tracy, who is around these guys every day and, to my knowledge, hasn't had any indication that, well, he can't communicate with the people around him?
You know what? Hold on to that thought, because I have another kind of similar thought about the return timeline, especially for Roman Anthony. We'll do that after the break here, plus your calls, 617-779-0985. Alex Barth and Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I asked you an either or, and you said yeah. I don't know which he's answering to yeah. The call-up part or longer than that part?
Bill Belichick would be proud.
That soundbite leaves me more confused than when we started.
That might have been the goal.
So, do you mean reevaluate maybe to be activated, or is it going to be longer than that?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
What's a possibility?
Do you want the chicken or the fish? Absolutely.
Paper, plastic. Yep.
You got it.
Okay, I'm not crazy. All right, thanks. Good.
I actually love that. That's great. More coaches should do that. That's great. That is right out of Belichick.
Yeah. Or when he used to answer things with no, yeah, or yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Bill, do I get to choose which one I use, or
right back at you,
Coach? Who's starting this week? Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi? Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Okay, good talk. Thanks, Coach.
Coach, you guys going to bring in a wide receiver in the draft, or you think you're going to address defense?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah. He almost says it in like a Belichick inflection.
Yeah.
All that's missing there is like the inhale or the exhale at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
Be longer than that.
Kind of Missoula-ish too.
Yeah. And we as media just have learned to just take these types of answers, just like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool.
I asked about Diana Rossini. You're talking about the offensive line. Okay. Yes.
Right.
Well, that was a whole other. It's
August. Whatever.
We're all trying to get better every day.
Yeah. Okay. Combo blocks. Yeah. Your marriage is a lot like combo blocks. How so?
There are some fun coach speak things. Like, what was the one couple years, the Mac Jones Bailey Zappi thing where Belichick mentions everybody's out here competing, and the people who don't understand that's just coach speak for like participating suddenly think there's a position battle.
Right.
And they do that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Just changing the meaning of words.
Oh, yeah.
But then when Volan asked Belichick after that dreadful, was it Thursday night? I can't remember if they got killed by the Rams or the Chargers, and Cam Newton was just awful.
Oh, 2020, the Rams.
He came right out and was like, Cam Newton's our starter. Appreciate the question, Ben. It's like, oh, okay, fine. So we can get answers on that.
Well, that was kind of like that, because it'd be, why are you sticking with Cam Newton? Well, Cam Newton's the starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
It's a possibility. Yeah.
I just like that because it's almost like Trevor's story is like, oh, I don't even know. I can't speak with authority on this.
But he also says it with a little, like, edge. Yeah, it's a possibility.
Well,
which one?
Why do you think he's speaking with a little bit of edge?
I mentioned this earlier.
He's
We were talking about Vrabel's comment about we're not a very deep team. And you learned in covering these teams and sitting in these press conferences, sometimes the coaches aren't talking to the media. They're taking that moment to address the team in a public light.
Right.
And I think that might have been one of those. He hears Trevor's story, because earlier in that interview, I don't know if we played that part in the rejoin, Garvin, he gets asked about Trevor Story's comments about, I think I'll be good by Wednesday, and he hadn't heard him yet, or at least he acted like he hadn't heard him yet. So that could be he thinks he's setting the timeline? Well, here's what I'll say about his timeline. I'm going to make his head spin.
So this is what's so interesting about this specific issue. So Trevor Story, he's not a Chad Tracy guy. I mean, Boston Red Sox, you'd think they're all the same, but Chad Tracy inherited Trevor Story in this entire situation, as did Craig Breslow.
I was going to say, he was a Bloom signing.
So Andrew Monasterio, Anthony Sigler, I mean, not playing nearly as much, but so we'll just go Andrew Monasterio, came in with Caleb Durbin. So you could make the argument that absolutely 100% Craig Breslow guy. Is there any realm of possibilities where there might be an argument over who is getting more reps once Trevor Story comes back? Is it possible that they're like, hey, Trevor, take your time, knowing full well we're not really going to use
Well, let me sum that up. Andy, is Trevor Story have friends in the building?
I don't know about that.
Drive line's gone, hitting coach is gone, core is gone.
Maybe John
GM
Henry
that signed him is gone.
Just because of the contract. Remember John Henry? Oh, you don't think that's a big contract? Or you don't consider Trevor Story a big contract? And I don't know if that's as much a friend or just he has the contract.
John Henry needs him around so he can say he has a higher payroll.
Kinda. But I think that is what validates Trevor Story. It's not a friendship. It's not production. It's a contract.
When I say friends in the building, I mean, because I think if you talk about on the roster, like Jaren Duran, right? We know him and Jaren Duran in Roman Anthony. Who's the one? So Garvin, you just kind of laid out. There might be people when they have to make this decision. There's going to probably be some people pounding the table for Andrew Monasterio. We brought him in. He's played well. He's done what we've asked. Who's pounding the table for Trevor Story?
Mike Mayock. He likes that phrase. I'm just throwing
Okay.
that. I think nobody.
Right.
So, wait. Are we discussing this in a sense? So, edginess of Trevor Story, what I like, different things. Is there any chance that I believe it's 20 days, right?
Yeah.
And then a decision has to be made.
Yeah,
correct?
and that takes him past the September 1st call update.
But is there any chance that Trevor Story does not join the Boston Red Sox? Like DFA'd or whatever basically you're fired, you're relieved.
I think
There's no room for you here.
He'll be with the team at some point because you might as well see what you have in him. Because if he can, even if it's as a runner, and a guy that maybe you can pinch hit for at the bottom of your lineup.
Didn't he go 30 for 30? Stealing bases?
Yeah, that
was last year, right?
Was it? Did he go 30 for 30?
Wasn't that last year that he went 30 for his first 30 stealing bases? And
I thought you meant 30 stolen bases.
No, not 30 club.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
I think he was safe on 30.
He had 31 stolen bases, caught stealing ones.
So he's Dave Roberts. He's a situational postseason base runner.
A $20 million pinch runner is not exactly how you plan it out. But
although I think Eli White is kind of your base runner.
That's true. But you might need him as pinch hitter. I think you see what you have in him. Now,
but how long do you see what you have in him? Like, if he looks like Trevor Story has... So Trevor Story was good over the second half of last season. I think some cynical people, maybe even Ryan Garvin, think it may have had to do something with sign stealing and whatever advantages they were getting. So, other than that, for the last couple years, he's not been a good offensive or defensive shortstop. I think I heard Tony rant about this.
I can find
whatever the numbers are, it validates your eyeball test. Your eyeball watches him play short, and you're like, I don't think that guy is a very good Major League shortstop.
The throwing errors this year have been his biggest thing. And Andrew Monasterio might not have nearly the same range, but again, if one guy is going to hit 270 and come up clutch at the bottom third, maybe middle third of your order, then as a manager, I'm like, look, we weren't hitting anything the first 3 months of the year, and somehow this collection of individuals can keep the lineup moving.
Right.
We are going to insert a guy who I think struck out 57 times in 41 games this year. Trevor Story, I think I have that off the top of my head, where, he might have had a good stretch of the year last year. And by the way, I'll default to, I think McCarthy was the one that was all over this as far as Jose Flores. So a rule was changed where the first and third base coaches cannot move on the windup, because I think Jose Flores, the first base coach at the time, was looking into the pitcher's glove and moving based on, is it a fastball or an off speed? That's why the Angels were so pissed at him last year, because he was blatantly stealing signs. The argument is that might have had something to do with Trevor Story, a right-handed bat, having the production that he had. All that being said, I feel like this group is just, a lot of people believe in them. They think they're really good. I think it's like, I wouldn't upset. You have this like popsicle stick skyscraper. We want to add one more piece. I'm not doing that. I'm not interested in doing that. This is working right now, and until I'm not going to even worry about when it stops working, because when it stops working, your season is over. As of right now, you have a guy that is playing a borderline passable defensive shortstop. But again, Wilson Contreras bailed him out twice last night, but Andrew Monasterio is hitting. If Trevor Story walks back into this locker room and starts harumphing because he's riding the pine while other guys are getting an opportunity, how can your young guys be like, what the F, man? Like, we've been here all along. Getting you guys back into a point where you're actually deciding to come off the injured list, because that's another angle that I find so fascinating. All of a sudden, Roman Anthony and Trevor Story and Garrett Crochet, all of a sudden, all these guys are getting really healthy. Roman Anthony couldn't pick up a bat a month ago without thinking about picking up a bat without pain in his hand. Now all of a sudden they're in contention and everyone's just getting healthy. Fascinating.
They got the wake-up call because the train was leaving without him. So a couple things on that. It is 20 days, so that gives the Red Sox, he made his first rehab start on August 16th. That gives them till September 5th.
Okay.
So after the rosters expand. If I'm the Red Sox, I'm waiting. if for no other reason than to make him sweat it out in Worcester, and make him really appreciate that call up and get his place.
Yeah, but then sorry to interrupt, but like, do you want him extra pissy when you do bring him into the mix?
How about I don't care, Trevor Story, what your demeanor is?
Well, I'm certainly waiting till at least the rosters expand, because he's a figure out what you have in him kind of player, and that's what those spots are for. I also wonder, is the Red Sox clubhouse strong enough to handle a pissy Trevor Story? And what I mean, I don't say I wonder, are they? I mean, in the past they weren't, because he was viewed as a leader.
Right.
Now, if he starts moping around, isn't Wilson Contreras just going to tell him to F off?
Yeah. I hope so.
Like, I know you kind of say that sarcastically, but it feels like that leadership group has lost their voice, because they haven't been there. None of them have been there. It's just Duran.
Right.
The rest of them are not. I mean, it's Contreras, it's Willier, it's Peyton Tolley. Like, it's just a different group. You hope Rutschman.
I was going to say, in some form or fashion, I think Rutschman is in that.
You have Rutschman coming from what's been a brutal Orioles organization for basically his entire career, with a chance to play in the playoffs. Now, he's got to kind of hit to have a little more of a voice, but
yes,
a guy that's like, hey, this is my first real shot at this. Like, get it together kind of thing. So I'd wait at least till the roster extension to call up Trevor Story. I don't mind making him sweat it out. I don't. And if he gets extra pissy, doesn't that kind of answer some of the questions that we have about him?
Yes, but are you willing to then move on from him? That's the question. So that's, Ryan, I kind of agree with everything you said, and I kind of agree with everything you said, and not even us, because I think it sounds like we are willing to move on from him. Doesn't really matter what we think. It matters what John Henry and the baseball team, are they willing to say, you know what, we're good, Trevor?
Ultimately, yes, but I'd take one more look at him first. I just wouldn't rush to do it.
I think I would just move on.
Now, Roman Anthony's the other one.
Crow hops to throw from short.
We talked earlier, big series coming up against the Yankees this weekend. How important is it for Roman Anthony to be back with the Red Sox for that series? And I will add, to potentially be back for one or two of those games against Miami to get a tune-up before that Yankee series.
I want Roman Anthony as soon as can be.
Okay.
I've said that you may have heard me say this back in the idiocy of another station's days and the talk of Jacoby Brissett and Drake May. And I was ad nauseum saying, if Drake May is the star you think he's going to be, then throw him out there. I went with the theory you can't break a diamond. And if he's really if he's him, if he's special, and I think some of us thought Drake May was special. There were people that were advocates of he's special. And I don't think, there were the comparisons to Mac Jones or others, like getting broken by how you treat them. To me, you're not special if you're broken by your circumstances. Special shows up, special gets it done. And that's how I feel about Roman Anthony, based on, some of the success we saw him have last year, but also what people talk about with him. That he is special, that he is still the guy. Then I want him out there sooner rather than later. And I'm not really worried if he scuffles a little bit, because he'll figure it out, because that's who he is. He's mature, he's talented, all those things. And the sooner he becomes a contributing aspect to your team, the better you are. So, yes, I would fast-track that. I would like to see him against the Yankees. I would like to see him in the lineup sooner rather than later.
Justin in Montauk disagrees with us on Trevor's story. Justin.
Guys, you need to really stick to football, because you seem to have memory loss. Trevor Story last year played 158 games, top 5 in Major League Baseball in home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, runs scored at his position. And you guys are here because he's recovering from a sports hernia, saying that, he's a pinch runner, but he's not even a good pinch runner because he stole all those signs. So you invalidate everything Trevor Story does.
Justin, what's more relevant, what Trevor Story did last year or what he did this year?
He got hurt. He has a sports hernia.
Okay.
Give me 158 games of Trevor Story over something called non-stereo. I'll take Trevor Story.
So you're just not concerned about him hitting 206 to start the season, ranking 325th out of 335 qualified players in OPS.
Okay, so he was the worst hitter in baseball last year, 2025. While he was healthy, he got on the right track, fixed his swing, and led shortstop in literally almost every offensive category. So you say you have the eyeball test. My eyeball test is that Trevor Story is top 5 shortstop when he's healthy. And you guys
including defense? Are you including defense or just offense?
He's broken down defensively because of his injuries. I think he'd be a better second baseman at this point in his career.
I agree, but he won't do it because he has an attitude.
He does not have an attitude. At what point in time has Trevor Story ever had an attitude?
Upon arrival in Boston, when he said, "I'm the second baseman for now," implying that as soon as they push Bogarts out, I'll slide right over to shortstop.
And when
so
he
from
told
day
the
one,
team,
he had attitude.
And when he told the team last week he'd be ready to go on Wednesday, regardless of their timeline.
One more thing. So the one season him and Bogarts played together, Trevor Story came to the team, was put in a new position, played 50 fewer games, and outperformed Bogarts offensively. He hit more home runs.
Okay, I don't care about that. You said, when did he have an attitude? It was the very first day he arrived in Boston.
Oh, because he's competitive and wants to play shortstop?
No, because he acted like a dink. You can be competitive and keep it to yourself. Just like he's acting like a dink right up until now when he's telling you when he's going to return. And then, luckily, they checked his attitude at the Worcester freaking Marriott.
And this is the hypocritical nature of your station. Like, you have people saying, "Oh, Trevor Story recovered from an injury, but he took his time in the minors. He didn't want to come up and help his team, and now this time,
no, I'm not saying
he wants
that.
to come up and help his team."
When did I say that he's taking his time? I said the opposite of that. I said he's trying to rush his way back.
I think he's taking his time.
I'm talking about your station.
Yeah, don't hold me responsible for what other people say. I have a hard enough time validating my own opinions.
You guys. It's a 98.5 thing. You have nothing good to say about Trevor Story. The only thing I've heard anyone on that station say good about Trevor Story was when a caller called up and said, "Oh, Curtis Mead looks like the new Trevor Story," and Mao said, "That's an insult to Trevor Story." That's the only compliment I've heard this station make for Trevor Story. So I'll just give you one more second. I think it goes back to that you guys were such Bogarts bobos that Trevor Story could have cured cancer and you'd still hate him.
No, I wanted both. When they signed Story, I was pumped because I thought you were going to have this great infield combination. Thanks for the call, Justin. Nice to hear from Trevor Story's agent.
Oh, my God.
On a Sunday morning.
Biggest fan, dad,
Just
brother.
to clarify, he didn't get 30 stolen bases because of Jose Flores blatantly
No,
stealing
you were
time.
talking about at the plate.
He was able to hit the baseball. He can't hit unless it's like a meatball breaking pitch. He can't catch up to the fastball. He can't find where the breaking ball is going to be. He cannot track the ball unless the first base coach is telling him what kind of pitch it's going to be. He struck out 57 times in 41 games this year. And by the way, Justin, Andrew Monasterio, who I'm not like a big fan of either, has been the everyday shortstop since July 22nd, which does, whether you want to credit it or not, because I'm not even ready to, but they have been really, really good. In fact, one of the best teams in baseball since they plugged in Andrew Monasterio. So let's just take him out and see what happens to that clubhouse, because Trevor Story was good last year. You know what? I want to see it. I want to see it. Let's get Trevor Story as soon as possible. I'll pay for his Uber to get him out of Syracuse or Worcester, wherever he is. Let's get him in the lineup tomorrow. Let's say, Andrew Monasterio, thank you so much. You were an admirable shortstop, but Trevor Story's back because he was good last year. Oh, I need to see that.
I don't hate Trevor Story. Like the caller said, Ryan Garvin might hate Trevor Story.
No.
I think that's a possibility.
It's Maz McCarthy. See, it's not even like my issue with the player. It's when people come back and go, "Stick to football. You guys are bozos."
Yeah, no, people.
Then it's like, all right, now I'm going to focus on your argument. It's got nothing.
People
to do
love
with
telling me to stick to football until I talk about football, and they have a problem with what I'm saying. One more thing on it. Trevor Story, when he was the second coming of Nomar Garciaparra in 2025, according to the caller, had an OPS, and I know it's just one number, OPS of 741. Andrew Monasterio's OPS this year, 727. So, I mean, Story a little bit better, but right in the same ballpark, and then factor in the defense. We really have to hit a break. We're way behind. We can keep going with Trevor Story if you want. 617-779-0985. You can get back to the Patriots as well. 3 hours down, 1 to go. It's Barth and Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
At Whole Foods Market, get great everyday prices on cheese sticks, baby carrots.
George.
Thanks, George.
Thanks for the call. Would you call it Franklin Arias this year?
I don't think I would. As much as the fanboy in me, the fun entertainment value in me, and as much as I talk about you can't break a diamond, I would just be careful with it because
we thought a lot of these guys are diamonds. They turned out to not be diamonds.
As recently as Marcelo Meyer. Right. Who, different story, and I know attitude, injuries. I mean, you talk about him, Garvin. He was rehabbing one injury, and now he's got boo-boo feet, and his feet hurt, and they're sore, and he can't play and whatever for the Giants. So I think I would be careful and not call him up as much as I would get the desire to do so and the fan in me and that idea of, oh, he kind of took Worcester by storm when he got called up to AAA. He could do the same thing, inject some life. But it's the same question. If you're winning baseball games with your current makeup, are you seeking out ways to change your current makeup?
If a certain position is a weakness, maybe. Now, the shortstop position has gotten a little bit better since we first started having this conversation, so that maybe changes it. I don't know if you could say the same about second base. Obviously, Sogard last night played a heck of a second base, but I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know that I have to get him called up, but if, it comes back down to earth with Monasterio and Siegler, although they have to call him up by the first for him to be eligible for the playoffs, right? Yeah, all right. Maybe not. I'm not calling him up at that point.
I don't think you, and I don't actually want to call him up if it's out of need in a weird way. If you just want to call him up, no, but if they're winning, if they're sort of staying in this stretch of they win 6 or 7 out of the 10 games they play, and you want to call him up just to get a taste of it, get a feel for it. You're in a run towards the postseason, whatever. I don't want to put the pressure on him like, oh, by the way, shortstop's an issue and we need you to solve it for a playoff caliber baseball team.
That makes sense because they did that. That's a good point because they did that with essentially Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer this year. Mm-hmm. Those guys were supposed to carry the team, and that obviously went a couple of different ways, none of them good. Yeah, the more I think about it, I'm okay if we don't see him.
Yeah, and I still go with the idea that, and maybe this is stupid, maybe this idea would actually set you up to get your ass kicked in the postseason. The strength of this baseball team is the team, right? Like whatever they have created both on the field where they can count on a different person to step up every inning, every night, every at-bat, every aspect of the game, and also whatever the camaraderie is, or
the Boston Red Sox and the power of friendship.
Yeah, kinda. I know idiots has been
combined.
Right, but I know idiots has been taken in a different generation here. But like these bad news bears, idiots, whatever they are, it works. And even along the way, we've touched on some of the ways it could have. The whole Jarren Duran. Who's he yelling at? Is he yelling at Contreras? And Contreras is following him in the dugout. Like, wait, is he yelling at me? Should I kick his ass? You know what? I'm going to be mature. I'm not going to do that. Like, there's been even the Contreras interactions with the fan base and how that has played out. There's been ways that this feels like it's could have gone sideways, and it hasn't gone sideways. So don't look for ways to derail a train that is chugging along toward the postseason.
Also, I'm not 100% clear on what the rules would be, but with a possible looming lockout, I don't know if there would be any kind of, like if you take Franklin Arias and you add him to your 40-man roster.
You don't want to start his clock.
Does that screw him up for winter ball? Would he be allowed to play during the off season when a lot of your minor leaguers right now would not be able to? Point is, though, like when you think about when Roman Anthony got called up, it represented hope. It represented we have arrived. When Marcelo Meyer
Anthony in 2028.
The kids was all we heard.
Hey, I remember standing in the conference room over here with a bunch of people watching Roman Anthony's very first at-bat for the Boston Red Sox. The hope right now is that this team can continue to overachieve as they have been since, the 4th of July. I don't think you're quite in the position where we need to break glass in case we need Franklin Arias.
I agree with that. But then, as I said, the flip side of that is I do worry about the fact that, okay, you know what we are? We're a team. T-E-A-M, team. And then you go to the postseason with, like, Sogarts leading off and Siegler in the game, and you're like, hey, how come we didn't get any hits today? Well, because, Coach, we're not that good.
We're a team, but are we a good team? And that's the thing that keeps worrying me is, like, At a certain point, it's going to strike midnight with these guys. Maybe one or two are actually better than we thought. Like maybe Monasterio is just a better player than we thought. But Monasterio and Siegler and Sogard and, on
Mickey
and on
Gasper.
and on. Mickey Gasper, like eventually these guys are going to turn back into the 4A players they are.
Right.
Is it going to happen next week? Is it going to happen in mid-September? Is it going to happen in the playoffs? Can they hold it off till next year? I thought it happened last week.
Me too. Absolutely.
When they hit the
I was
wall.
all in.
And then they kind of kept going again, so I'm not sure, but I still am worried about that precipice and what they do when they get there, and will they have an opportunity? If it happens in the playoffs, you can't really do anything about it. You can't change your roster once the series starts.
Right.
So, on one hand, dance with the one that brought you, right? And ride the hot hand and all of that.
But what if the lights are coming on and you're like, and I'm sobering up and she's not as pretty as I thought she was an hour and a half ago kind of thing? Like, this is dumb. And we have Trevor Story and Roman Anthony are our two guys that we're kind of talking about.
Yeah.
So move Trevor Story because for the other than Justin, I think there's a negative view of Trevor Story and what he brings. But Roman Anthony,
more of Trevor Story's family members are more than welcome to call.
Absolutely. But Roman Anthony, if you tell me I look at the graphic and I don't know who has the playoffs, let's just say Fox, and I turn on the game and it's on Fox and I look at the graphic and it says Roman Anthony, I feel better about that game.
Yeah.
Like leadoff batter Roman Anthony playing left field. Don't you feel better about your chances in a playoff game and series, short series, with Roman Anthony playing than with Nick Sogard?
Yeah, I think Roman Anthony exists outside of this. Roman Anthony is, at a certain point, talent's talent.
Yeah.
And Roman Anthony's talent. Trevor Story, where's he at this point in his career?
Currently, he is hitting second for the Woo Sox and playing designated hitter, which I think is the avenue to kind of appease everybody. Okay, listen, Trevor, we know you've been playing quality shortstop for the Woo Sox, but in the interest of, I'm speaking as Chad Tracy right now, like in the interest of just kind of keeping everything status quo, we're probably just, we want to ease you back into this. We don't want you getting tired legs too early. We'll probably have Andrew Monasterio play a couple games at shortstop, but we'll have you in a designated hitter because we don't care about Mickey Gasper, despite the fact that he is also producing. So we'll work you in there, get your timing back with major league pitchers, and then, we'll see where you are in a week or so, and then maybe we'll think about getting you back into shortstop. But that's it right there. After Yoshida went down, and it sounds like he's not going to return.
Right.
You're back to that DH by committee kind of thing. I'm not saying it's the right idea, but that's probably how they would look at it and go, all right, we have a spot here. Trevor Story's going to complain about it, and so we're going to get him back in the lineup as your designated.
No, if you like what you're getting from Monasterio and Siegler and Sogard, like that's the path. If you are going to bring Trevor Story back, and he has struggled defensively, maybe the bat improves, goes back to where he was last year. Maybe it was due to the injuries, the caller said. Then that's the path. And if it's that, or, do you feel good about any of their options at DH? Because if it's not that, it's probably platooning Duran and Jahmai Jones, especially once Anthony comes back, right? Or maybe putting Anthony there and platooning those guys in left field. So.
I'm guessing Anthony's going to get some days there.
Yeah.
He's going to play left field and get some days at DH, and you can figure that out. That maybe that's the compromise with Trevor Story. I would also just one more retort.
It's probably what's better for the baseball team.
So Trevor Story is old.
Correct.
Trevor Story has started poorly, very poorly, each of the last 2 seasons, correct?
Yes.
Well into May a year ago. And
we thought he was going to get, legitimately thought he was
correct.
Days away from getting DFA'd last year.
Isn't he kind of starting a season again? Like when you miss that much time, you're starting over. You're starting a season now. So that's this is the third chance he's had to start a season over the last 2 years. In the first 2, he looked like he wasn't worthy of playing Major League Baseball. And that he doesn't even take into account his attitude and his aura. I'd also like to know, since you've been doing the research, Ryan Garvin, any stories coming out of Worcester of like, he bought everybody dinner because he's the big $20 million veteran, or has he done anything to improve his reputation as a leader and a veteran?
I haven't seen that, but that doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, that stuff usually goes under the radar.
Yeah, I'd like to know that, though.
It's sort of like, it's an expectation. Like if I'm in that position, if I'm Trevor Story, I'm like, I'm not going to be here that long anyway, guys. I might as well do everything I can for this group and, take care of them.
Nah, you usually do it.
I know you usually do it. That's my point.
It's pretty hard to dodge that.
What if he didn't do it? I
won't name the player. I know one guy, he had like a 1 or 2 day rehab start with us. It was pretty short. And he had they kind of, he was going to leave without doing it. He ended up like leaving cash and just told the guys like go out and get dinner.
I'd actually prefer that.
You know who was great?
If my options are you spend a lot of money on food or you just leave a pile of money, I'll take pile of money.
Well, no, he told the club, like, go get, like, McDonald's or something. You know who was great was Brendan Phillips with that. When he rehabbed in Lowell. I wasn't there. It was just the players, but I heard he was awesome. We've got what time, real quick, what time are the Woo Sox playing today?
Oh, stand by.
Is this happening right now? Because there was minor league baseball in Nesson all of a
The
sudden.
Yard Goats, though.
I know. I got all excited. I'm like, we're going to get to react to Trevor's story live. It is the Somerset Patriots and the Hartford Yard Goats.
Yeah.
From Duncan Park in Hartford, Connecticut. Are they the Rockies? Hartford, Somerset Patriots are the Yankees. I know that.
They are the Yankees, yes.
They are already playing. We have no score at the bottom of the first.
Already underway?
I want an update when Trevor Story bats. I see you guys line up with some Patriots calls. I do want to get back to some football. I also have, a lot of you have been asking me about Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, when we're going to be back, what this year is going to look like. I have a couple updates for you guys on that. So we'll do that. Take your Patriots calls when we come back. 617-779-0985. Alex Barth, Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
The Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports.
Do we know? We'll figure it out for you. And Andy, I think you're back. Yep, Dendera, I think you're back next week, 10 to 2, right? I will not be here,
so.
But you are.
And you just informed me of something I probably should have already known, that it's cut down day.
Yeah, 6 p.m. So you guys are going to
kind of be the cut down show.
Yeah,
that should be fun. Maybe we'll have a trade.
Ooh,
maybe we'll have like a Booty or a Kyle Williams trade. Who knows?
I will be at my desk working. So if you guys need somebody to fill a segment,
I look forward to it.
Feel free to reach out.
Okay, I just
and then,
lined you up, Paul Perillo, filling out a show quite nicely.
So me and you talked a lot of ball today.
Yeah, ball.
Good amount of ball today.
We were told to stick to it, actually.
It's true. We're going to talk some ball tomorrow, or next Sunday. And then about 30 Sundays in a row, I believe.
What's this now?
So Sports Hub Sunday kickoff. We'll be back. For those who've been asking, I get these questions all the time, and I never know the exact date, so I don't want to say and be wrong. But we will be back Labor Day weekend, as has been the case the last few years. So that is Sunday the 6th. Unfortunately, we will not get the usual. So usually we come back Labor Day weekend, we do like a season preview show, and then the next Sunday is week 1, and week 1 gets its own preview. Because the Patriots play on Wednesday this year, we're not going to get. We're going to have to cram it. And when I say we, so Cerrone Battle, who's co-host with me for the first 3 years, is not returning this year. Wanted his Sunday mornings back, and I'm being a little facetious there, but I get it. He was doing a lot, and I get it. Going to miss working with him. I get it. Andy, you're stepping in on Sunday kickoff this year.
Let's go.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to basically more of what we've done today.
Yeah.
2 hours every Sunday, 8 to 10. And we'll be your pre-game show during the season. And then obviously, I always say it's more of an off-season show. The off-season is where we really dig in. I hope you're ready to nerd out on the draft.
Absolutely.
And talk some college football.
Absolutely.
Because we will be doing that as well. So next week, Andy will be on 10 to 2. I will not be on unless I'm on with them. But then the week after that, 8 o'clock, we are back. Sports Hub Sunday kickoff.
So we kind of set the table for every Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
We kick off the day. Even if the Patriots play later. And there's multiple Thursday games this year, which are always interesting because we actually get to do. They've been few and far between in the past. This year, I guess, they'll be more regular, doing like a reaction show. So the Saturday games are really fun because we come in first thing the next morning and
post game show.
But there's no Saturday games here. There's a Monday, there's 2 Thursdays, and there's a Wednesday. But we'll have some fun with it. Speaking of, we've got some Patriots calls on the board. Tom in the Bay Area. Tom.
Hey, Barth, how you doing, man? I've talked to you a few times about Kyle Williams.
Yeah.
I feel like just a lot of people are moving the goalposts back on this kid. He scored in both preseason games, and all we talk about are the one play in each game where he didn't fight back for the ball. But he's constantly getting behind the defense. He can stop on a dime. DeVito missed him yesterday and almost threw a pick because he was late seeing him on that left sideline.
Yep.
And then he threw him out of bounds on the right sideline early in the first quarter. The kid can play. And he's going to be going against DB3s with Dubs and AJ on the field with him. Like, he's going to feast. Like, I just don't get why people are so quick to want to write him off and get him out of here. Just want your guys' thoughts.
Because Patriots fans are very attached to Kayshon Boutte and very attached to Efton Chisholm.
And I would add another layer. Patriots fans are used to second and third round wide receivers sucking,
So a little
not developing.
emotional protection kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to get my hopes up because I know the way this usually goes. I think if you know what Kyle Williams is, it's been an encouraging preseason for him. If you're expecting him to be more than that, well, here's the thing. Kyle Williams is a guy who's not going to be a factor every week. He's going to be a matchup player. He's going to be a role player. And he's even on games where he's involved, you're probably looking at him being a 2 or 3 catch guy. The question is it 2 catches for 15 yards or 2 for 90 yards?
Right.
And that's what he's going to be. So as your 5th receiver on a team where you have A.J. Brown and A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs and, a couple good tight ends as well, he's not going to see a lot of coverage attention. That's not bad. Is he going to be the guy that I think some people want him to make A.J. Brown expendable in a year or two? That's just
that
not
seems like a bit much.
Going to happen.
But will he be a top 3 receiver in a year or two? As a 3rd-round pick, I don't think it's crazy to say you should be a 3rd receiver.
And I don't know. And maybe he ends up, underperforming that draft slot. I think there's a way he can underperform that draft slot and still be a useful player for the Patriots. But as long as their receiver core is constituted as it is, which it's going to be for the next 2 or 3 years, which is A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs at the top, That third guy is the slot guy. He's not a slot guy. That's Pop Douglas, that's Efton Chisholm. Now, they play the slot differently, but so third receiver, no. Rotational player, like contributing rotational player, yes.
Do we have a second? You bring up Pop Douglas.
Yeah.
I think he's a really interesting guy, and I'm not sure how I feel about him because the last couple years...
So you're talking to the conductor of the Pop Douglas hype train over here.
Okay.
So let's hear it.
And I've been on the hype train for multiple years, and now I feel like I'm hesitant to get on the hype train because I feel like the hype train didn't go the full distance I expected it to in the previous 2 years, especially 2 years ago, where I thought Josh McDaniels arrives and like we're going to get like this Patriots slot receiver, give him 120 targets and he'll give you 100 receptions. And I've come to believe, for one thing for sure, Pop Douglas is not a traditional Patriots slot receiver.
No.
100% not that.
Because Pop Douglas is short, everybody says he's Edelman and Welker.
And he's not.
The actual comp for me for Pop Williams, and he's smaller, so this changes things a little bit. I've said this for years. Pop Douglas should be used more as a vertical player.
Right.
He's Chris Hogan. That is the role that he should be in, because people forget how fast Chris Hogan was. And Pop Douglas is fast. He's Chris Hogan with a little more wiggle after the catch.
Okay. I've always gone with it. I'm drawing a blank on his name now. The UMass receiver that was sort of a
Andy Isabella?
No. Before that with the Giants.
Oh, Victor Cruz?
Victor Cruz is a guy that I've wanted to upside Pop Douglas as. I don't know that he will ever be a volume contributor the way I thought he was going to be, but he's more of a playmaker than what I thought he was going to be. And I think, again, with this offense, and if this offense is Brown and Dobbs and then other guys
and friends,
fitting
Brown,
in,
Dobbs, and friends.
I think I really like Pop Douglas. I think he made plays for this team last year that got overlooked a little bit because he wasn't necessarily the volume slot guy that some people wanted to pencil him in as. I just want to continue to see the evolution. I like him. I do like him, and I do think his quickness, I think he's a little bit lacking in spatial awareness on the field at times. I thought Stephon Diggs picked up where he was leaving off in terms of against zone coverages and ability to find the soft spots and sit down. I still don't think he does that very well, but he also can get down the field and make plays like a lot of guys his size and in this offense haven't been able to do. So I think that's, again, it's maybe more me accepting him for what he is and forgetting what he isn't.
I think that's fair. No, if he's not Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
That's not what he is. He's a vertical threat who you can maybe do some scheme stuff with and can create after the catch. By the way, for all the crap that Pop Douglas gets about he doesn't produce and everybody hyping up Kayshon Boutte, who's been a more productive player over the course of their career?
Oh, Pop Douglas.
Yeah. He has a 600-yard season. Kayshon Boutte does not have a 600-yard season. Now, Pop Douglas had the least productive of his 3 years last year. So that's notable. And part of why what I've liked this summer is I feel like him and Drake May are more on the same page than I've seen them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think he's not going to be a high-volume guy. And I don't know who the high-volume guy on this team is going to be. I thought it was going to be Romeo Dobbs, and they've changed his route tree. It might be Hunter Henry, which makes me a little nervous considering they only have rookies behind him, and if he gets banged up, what happens? It might be Ramondre Stevenson, which now you're going back to like the 2021 offense.
When he caught 70 or something.
Yeah, he was their leading receiver.
Yeah.
But
I'm a big fan of his.
I'd like who? Stevenson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'd like it to be Travion Henderson. I don't think he's there yet as pass protector.
No, I don't think he is.
But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Do you have to have one?
Probably.
Can it be a different guy?
You're putting a lot on Drake May. If it's
I know. I think he's special.
You're talking about having like 4 or 5 like 70 to 80 catch guys?
Yes.
That's a lot on Drake May, but if he's up for it, that is a difficult offense to defend.
That's why I think that's your offense at its best. I think Josh is okay with it, and it's also why I'm going to pay Drake May $70 million a year next year. Because I put, with great power, great responsibility, all that Spider-Man crap, that's what I put on Drake May, and it's also why I'm optimistic about this team. I think this offense can be really good if Drake May is as good as we kind of think he is.
All right. I don't hate that take. Pete and Pembroke has something on the offensive line. Pete, what's up?
Hey guys, how's it going? So yeah, I got two quick thoughts for you here, Barthy. One, I noticed Lomo was back on the left side last night. He seemed pretty good, I think, in comparison to him playing on the right side. Curious if you think him bouncing around too much is kind of hindering his progression. And then secondly, kind of on that same tune, I noticed Marcus Bryant went down. Not sure his status, but obviously we're lacking an offensive line. Do you think we could move Booty for a one-for-one player trade to get up some interior offensive line? I was looking at Texas, Houston particularly. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Pete. On Caleb Lomu, I was not as high on his performance last night as some people. He was better than he was against the Colts, but it's still, when he loses, he loses. Like, there's no recovery. It's not, you hear Dante Scarnecchia used to talk about, if you're going to die slowly, which is if you're going to ultimately lose the rep, at least make the guy work and take the time so that maybe the quarterback can get the ball off or whatever. He's not doing that. When he gets beat clean. And that's kind of it. So maybe him moving back and forth is part of the reason his development struggling. Maybe they're moving him back and forth to let him get some reps at left to help him get comfortable and do more at right. I definitely think he's behind where they want him to be. Marcus Bryant's been the better of the two of them. Marcus Bryant's been their best backup offensive lineman. No update. Vrabel mentioned last night he got rolled up on. So you're talking foot, ankle. That's obviously not great. I don't know if you're going to trade Kayshon Boutte for a backup lineman, especially on the interior. That feels a little underwhelming. I don't think a team's going to trade you a tackle. Teams don't really trade quality tackles. Now, do they go get somebody off waivers to add depth, or at least make is that one of their veteran practice squad spots? Maybe. If Bryant's going to miss any time, I think it almost has to be. I think you can aim a little higher with the Kayshon Boutte player-for-player trade. I look at linebacker, I look at edge, I look at corner, and maybe tight end. Like, the Rams have a bunch of tight ends. And I don't know how much they need Kayshon Boutte right now. This is just kind of a rambling thought I've had. Devontae Adams in his last year, I feel like Kayshon Boutte does actually kind of complement Puka Nacua. Can you trade him to the Rams? They extend him. They get that spot filled, even though he doesn't get paid this year. But now he's fine playing less because he got his contract. And then you get one of their tight ends because they have like 20 tight ends.
So this is something I meant to ask you earlier, and we just kind of went in a different direction.
Yeah.
You think of a Super Bowl roster in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I think the head coach and the GM just told us this isn't necessarily that type of Super Bowl roster where it's locked, loaded, and everybody's here, blah, blah, blah. Like, we lack depth.
We talked about it earlier. No Adrian Waddle, no Jason McCourty.
How many... You think it's possible there's one, two, multiple guys that are going to be on the 53-man roster that aren't part of this organization right now? And whether that's a waiver wire claim as a running back, tight end, depth guy, whatever, a trade, a signing of a veteran. Ryan brought up earlier, you think you were saying Bobby Wagner? Like, there's names.
Yeah, I said that off air.
Kyle Van Noy. There's names out there. Like, it's not hard to envision a claim, a trade, and a signing for a team that's supposed to be a really good football team, but maybe adding to the bottom of its roster.
Yeah, look, sometimes I'll put these on my roster projection. I'll just say like TBD tackle.
Guy not on
because team. It's clear they need the body, and the body's not here. They kind of already have one. Like, Greg Van Roten's going to be their top backup guard.
Right.
And they just signed him. So that's one. I don't know, if set the number at 1.5. I definitely think at least one.
I would take the over. I've talked myself into a trade and a Kyle Van Noy. Boom, that gets me 2.
It could be 2. I think linebacker they're almost going to have to add. They just don't have the bodies.
And I feel like that guy is out there. Like a guy that's better than
you can get a linebacker.
Those types of guys.
That might be waivers. Doesn't have to be a signing. I know there's some interesting names out there. And then, they're going to add a linebacker because they're dealing with injuries and guys haven't played well. Do they add on the edge? Do they add another offensive lineman? If Marcus Bryant's going to legitimately miss time, then it's 2.
Okay.
Because Caleb Lomu can't be your top backup tackle right now.
Which I think is interesting when you do consider this is a team coming off a Super Bowl that people expect to compete at a high level again. This is a top whatever team in the NFL, and they're kind of scrambling to fill some spots on the roster late in the process.
But again, I said this earlier, and I think it's an important point. Their depth was never really tested last year. Mm-hmm. And if it had been like the average team's depth is tested, I don't know if they make it as far as they do. Yes, every team gets worse when they have to go to backups. I think the drop-off is more extreme than the average team for the Patriots. Some of that is because of how good some of their starters are. But some of it's also because the backups aren't as good. So, look, it's going to be a factor, and they might need to add externally. I think there could be multiple guys that come in during roster cuts. Now, they've done that in the past, but you were talking about like a starting tackle coming in on waivers. It's not going to be that.
Right.
These are guys you're adding for insurance that you hope don't have to play, certainly not right away. But I do think they could end up adding people. 617-779-0985. Last chance to give us a call. Patriots, Red Sox, whatever. Alex Barth, Andy Hart on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports. quit now. Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub. This is breaking sports news, powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. You know, Kendra Middleton played this yesterday for the Giancarlo Stanton injury, so I think we can justify it here. It's Alex Barth, Andy Hart. This is a Red Sox-related breaking news, a big update from Chad Tracy. We've talked through a lot of the show about what's going to happen with the guys. The Red Sox are waiting to get back. Will they be back for the Yankee series? It's a possibility, Ryan Garvin.
Yep, according to Mass Live's Chris Cotillo with the quotes from Chad Tracy moments ago, says Chad Tracy said it's at least possible that Roman Anthony, Trevor Story, or Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is active tomorrow in Miami, but sounds like their rehabs might continue for a few days. It's all about how they feel, but it's getting close. End of tweet.
All right. So any one of Roman Anthony, Trevor Story, or IKF could be active as soon as tomorrow.
Or none of them.
Or none of them.
Depending on how they feel. Who's they and what feeling are we talking
I had that
about?
Same question. Are we talking when they say how they feel? So Chad Tracy.
The first assumption is, you know, anytime a guy's a rehab start, part of making a rehab start or just coming back from an injury in any sport is, all right, play a game and let's see how your body responds.
Right.
But all these guys have played. Actually, I don't know how much Kiner-Falefa is rehabbed off the top of my head, but Story and Anthony have had a week now.
Yeah.
They should be through the how is your body responding phase of the rehab.
That's if you take it as physical feeling. What if you take it as their mental and emotional feeling?
Well,
how they feel about maybe, I don't know, staying on a bus in Syracuse. Or do they feel like they need to be back with a big league team? Because I think you could take it two ways there. They feel physically or they feel emotionally or respect or ego or whatever the hell you want to call it.
I took it another way.
Ooh, a third way.
Could it be a collective they, Red Sox they?
Oh, yeah, that's part of it, too.
It doesn't look like it's in a... So, the way Cotillo words this, Chad Tracy said it's at least possible that Roman Anthony, Trevor Story, or Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is active tomorrow in Miami, but it sounds like their rehabs might continue for a few days. It's all about how they feel. They could mean the Red Sox. Maybe the Red Sox say, we probably are going to sweep the Giants. We have momentum. We got days left on these guys. Let's wait till we really need that spark.
It's such a loaded they. And, I mean, if we're just being
pronouns in this day and age,
objective, like he probably is talking about those three players. IKF, by the way, this should be his fourth.
Well, that's a little concerning.
But I think it's very fair to question, like, when you say they, are you talking about the players, or are you talking about this group that you guys have literally pulled yourselves out of the grave of being a last-place American League team to a potential wild card team? I think it is very important that Chad Tracy and also the front office has the temperature of this clubhouse.
If that they is about the players, that's disappointing. You should know where you're at this point. It's been a week. You said IKF 4 games. I'm going to guess they're not going to call up Story and IKF at the same time. That's right. A little redundant. Mm-hmm. Take him out, and he's behind. You mentioned 4. This is 4th, so he's a little behind them. Take him out. Anthony and Story. You should be through you either feel well enough to play at this point or your body's not responding right, and then you're not close to coming back because you've got to work through that. And mentally, as much as we kind of dumped on Trevor Story for trying to force his way back onto the team, you want competitors. You want guys that want to be at the highest level. You shouldn't want guys. This is the one thing I didn't do that the caller accused us of. I don't want Trevor Story thinking, I'm just going to stay in Worcester where it's more comfortable, where I'm not in the spotlight. I don't want Roman Anthony thinking, last time I was getting a lot of heat. I don't know that I'm ready to be back and everybody's focus is. No. You want guys that think this team's pushing for the playoffs. I want to be a part of it. So I hope that day's not about the players, physically or mentally. I think that would kind of be a red flag, personally.
I agree with you that you want players that want to be part of it and want to compete. But is it that or is it a sense of entitlement? I'm entitled to that spot. Not that I am going to work my ass off to prove to you that I'm the best option you have at shortstop. I'm entitled to it.
Why would that matter to Chad Tracy? I think Chad Tracy's proven he doesn't care how they feel in that regard, in a good way.
Yeah, but Trevor Story's a different beast, right? Isn't Trevor Story your $20 million plus a year UNC contract leader?
So it's almost like your theory is Trevor Story doesn't get to get called up until he stops asking to be called up.
Kinda. It was the theory I used for many years of youth sports coaching. If you asked to play a position, you were guaranteed to not play that position that night. I started it in like T-ball because everybody wants to pitch, everybody wants to do this. If you ask it, I'm not putting you there.
As somebody who really wanted to pitch and couldn't, I'm well aware with that rule.
Yeah.
Well, very much.
So yes, I would use that. Also, I'd like to see him give me so Roman Anthony, the first day in Portland, you're like, oh, maybe Roman Anthony should already be in Boston.
Right.
Like, show me something that you're ready to contribute.
Yeah, Roman Anthony should be crushing AA pitchers. Everybody lost their damn minds about that home run. Oh, he hit a nuke. Yeah,
I mean,
he should be hitting those guys.
He's not everybody. He cooked that ball.
How many nukes has Story hit?
Well, let's see. Right now, he's 0 for 2.
Excellent.
He just, I believe, he grounded out on one pitch.
Sick.
In his second plate appearance.
I agree. Big leaguers should dominate minor leaguers. That's sort of inherent.
Yeah.
But if you're not, I'd like to see it. I'm not just going to have faith, Trevor Story, and I'll say it again. You've started each of the last 2 seasons looking like you're not a big league player. Now you're in the minor leagues looking questionable as to whether you're a big league player. And coming back now after an extended absence is very similar to starting a fresh season. So are you incapable of starting a season as a high-quality big league player? It's very much in question to everybody not named Justin who called us earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Trevor Story's agent. One more update from Cotillo. Red Sox will start Suarez, Tolle, and Gray in Miami. So you know who gets the opener for the Yankees series?
The opener?
Oh, the opening game.
Oh, no.
Patrick Sandoval.
Yeah, that's not great.
No.
Hey, you won that? He didn't win. They won the game in which he started, so, you know.
And then you have
positives.
Jake Bennett for at least one half of that doubleheader on Saturday.
Okay.
See, my bigger issue with the Yankees series is I think, again, they're going to miss Garrett Cole and Cam Schlittler, which...
Well, they can't miss both.
I think Schlittler is pitching the day before. They don't have the announcements for who is starting those games.
So ESPN has 2 of them right now. They have,
Carlos Rodon.
Yep, is going to start one of the doubleheader games, and Will Warren's going to start on Sunday.
Right, so they just lost Ryan Weathers, I think, either today or last night. He's going on the IL. Max Fried has been kind of up and down. I would love to see what this lineup can do against, I think, one of the better pitching staffs that's not the Boston Red Sox. And I don't know if it will shake out where they get Garrett Cole. I am almost certain they're going to miss.
So right now, MLB.com has Garrett Cole slated to start on Thursday.
Okay.
So I would assume they miss Garrett Cole. That means they will get Schlittler at some point. I assume the Yankees are using a 5-man rotation. I admittedly haven't followed it that closely.
I have Schlittler as he would be pitching Thursday, the 27th against Houston, the day before.
Well,
the Red Sox
so MLB.com has Garrett Cole starting that game.
Ooh, we got a source war here.
So
my point remains, I would love, and look, these guys are hitting, but I would like to see them against, a team you might end up seeing in October.
Because that is still my fear, that the wheels come off the offense. You can't score enough runs. We can go back to last year, which left Craig Breslow saying an inordinate amount of runs in the postseason are scored via the home run, and then he went out and did nothing to add really much of a home run hitter to his lineup, although you got Wilson Contreras, and that's worked out nicely. So, yeah, that is still my fear, that you're playing like regular season baseball and then postseason bites you.
Well, that also works the other way, because now let's see what this Yankees lineup can do against Peyton Tolle, who has been, I think, maybe the easiest guy to root for this season. And you want to start getting that Red Sox-Yankees kind of fire back a little bit.
Tolle will do it.
Peyton Tolle is absolutely the guy I want to see starting these games. He's easy to root for. He looks the part. He has performed admirably, probably well beyond expectations, considering they threw all their Rafael Devers money and Alex Bregman money at Ranger Suarez. Peyton Tolle has been easily my favorite story of the 2026 Boston Red Sox.
So if Tolle is going to start Tuesday against Miami, that should he might be the second half of the doubleheader. So Cotillo didn't say this. ESPN has Sandoval starting the finale on Sunday. They just have that second game on Saturday blank. So that Peyton Tolley, Saturday night, Yankee Stadium. Oh, yeah. In on that.
Oh, Tolley, Yankees? Yes, absolutely.
That's the spot. And
you want to rekindle the rivalry and kind of juice it up a little bit? I 100%.
Looking at how it's all, I don't know this for sure, but just looking at how it's lined up, it could be Tolley Schlittler Saturday night.
I will absolutely take that.
Main event type stuff.
That's Andy with some Miller Lights and enjoying a baseball game like it's old school rivalry.
That is old school Red Sox feeling right
on
there.
Fox, yeah, that would be good.
The one thing I was going to say though, this pitching staff,
yes,
because we can crap on the offense, like you're good enough for the regular season, or you're going to be good enough in the postseason. Sonny Gray is tied for the major league lead in wins right now, I believe. With his 16th the other day.
Correct.
He's another guy that I love. Sonny Gray this year. I love what he's been as a regular season. Do you feel like he's an ace heading into the postseason?
No,
I kind of don't either.
No, I mean I don't.
And
I
don't
feel
know that that's
good about
fair.
him.
Like you're leading the league in wins. Is it fair for me to say you're not an ace heading into a postseason matchup?
So Sonny Gray's pitched 14 years in the majors. He started 6 playoff games. 4 of those were pre-pandemic. 2 of them I was still 2 years. 4 of them I was still in college.
So you're saying you have faith in him or not faith in him?
I don't feel bad about him.
But I don't feel great.
But I wouldn't say he's an ace.
You're not like swaggering into that matchup.
He's
like
not,
my guy's Sonny Gray.
Remember
Good
last
luck
year
over
it
there.
was, all right, well, you get Garrett Crochet in game 1, so then you just got to take one of the next 2.
Right.
I'm not saying, Sonny Gray's going to get you 1.
Right.
I don't feel that way. Now, what
Same.
I do like, so no mention of Garrett Crochet in there.
Yeah.
I think if they can get Crochet back, does the strongest spot in their rotation become? And Crochet said if he comes back, he's throwing an inning, maybe 2, and that's it.
He's the opener for Bayo.
Right. Is that the strongest spot in their rotation?
Yeah, because I don't know if you know, but Bayo as a reliever is basically Mason Miller. That's what the
you just don't ask Brian Bayo to start a game.
Right. No, I love that idea. Now, there's a lot of projecting here.
They should test.
How far isn't
the extent of that?
Crochet still throwing on flat ground
something
from
like that,
70 feet or something?
Yeah, I don't even know if he's going to come back, but I would start trying. Okay, so they've had Bayo not pitch the first inning. Start putting him in with 2 outs in the first, and then an out,
1 out.
Have somebody go out there, throw the first pitch, and then make a pitching change. Didn't Babe Ruth threw a perfect game like that, right? The guy came in, I don't know if it was the first pitch or first batter, drilled him, got ejected. Babe Ruth comes in, finishes it off, perfect game.
That's how you would have to do it. You would have to have your opener like, oh, my arm, it's broken, because these guys have to face a minimum of 3
Does
batters.
that apply to the starter, though?
You know what? That's a great question, because
I don't know if anybody's tested this.
Like, it's like the Craig Breslow rule where you can just like face a guy and then you're out of the game. I don't know if that's ever come up, but then again, I don't know if you've ever been in a position where we're like, all right, we need to fool our starter and make him think it's the second inning. It's like putting like a curtain over a bird cage to trick it into thinking it's night.
Go back in the tunnel and throw BP like during the lineups. I just looked it up, by the way. The 3-batter minimum does apply to the starting pitcher. So clearly this came up in a meeting somewhere.
You can fake an injury at any time. Oh, my, you just grab the back of your hamstring, you limp off, and we're good here. But it really is amazing. Like I said this the other day, this is proof that even the most talented, highest performers deal with the mental, right? Like there's a mental aspect, a huge mental aspect. He's a 10.5 ERA as a starter and a 0.8 ERA as a reliever. It's literally it's him and Mason Miller, that stat that everybody's been using. And Mason Miller is, I've lusted after for years, as one of the most dominant relievers in baseball. But that's what Brian Bayo is. But I love I'm kind of giving up on the Crochet Bayo idea, because I think it might even be too late for that. But I think that even in of itself would be a fun game. Do you feel better than that than Sonny Gray? Would you rather have Crochet and Bayo or Sonny Gray?
I think Crochet and Bayo. But if that's your first 2, you're doing pretty good.
So disrespectful to Sonny Gray, who leads the league.
No, that's probably not fair. You know what?
I'll take Sonny Gray.
I got caught up in the moment. I'll take Sonny Gray. If Crochet is Crochet, but it's only an inning of him, I feel better about that. But Crochet, like as an unknown, I'll take Sonny Gray.
Okay. Crochet-o.
I don't know why I almost gave out the number. We're going to break. Mark Dondera's coming up next. You can call him, 617-779-0985. Andy, good stuff, man.
We'll talk to you next week. Make sure you keep your phone on during
I will
Cutdown
have
Day.
it on. I'm looking forward to you guys reaching out. And then Sunday kickoff the week after that.
Let's go.
With Ryan Garvin as well. This is the crew. This is what it'll be. So we'll all collectively talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.